I'd like to welcome everybody to our meeting this evening. Thank you for coming. Want to do a couple things first. We had some executive sessions, one following the August 24th, 2023 meeting to discuss litigation and personnel. And there was an executive session following September 14th, 2023 to discuss potential litigation and personnel matters. Okay, there's no changes to the agenda, so I guess the first thing we want to do is approve the agenda.
Second.
I'll second it.
All in agreement?
Aye.
Aye. Approval of the meeting minutes for August 10th, 2023, the regular meeting. Do I have a motion?
I'll clarify. There was a few changes, a few edits that we had. They're mostly spelling, grammar, and stuff like that. So I just want to make that note.
Right,
I'll make a motion we approve the minutes.
with the
Based on the
corrections.
changes.
Correct. Yep.
I'll second that.
All in agreement?
Aye.
Approval of the treasurer's report and bill list for August of 2023.
Second.
I'll second it.
All in agreement?
Aye.
Public comment. I guess we want to start out with the first row here, and we want to recognize some people that are with us this evening. Do you want to stand up and introduce yourself and your two colleagues that are with you here today?
Sure. My name is Chris Edline. I'm an assistant scoutmaster for Troop 183 at the Maidencreek Church. Today I have my son Alexander Edline and his partner in crime, Jacob Gibson. We're working on our citizenship in community today. So that entitles them sitting in on a meeting and seeing how local government works. So I appreciate everyone's
Potential for future leaders of government in Maidencreek Township.
Absolutely.
You know, I hope you find some strength in the meeting to come back and maybe even get involved one day. It starts where you're at right now. Okay, so thank you for coming. Anybody want to, in row one, want to say anything? Row two?
But just with the Park and Rec, not a whole lot to report. Our major project obviously was sent off the track due to the flooding. The park is getting back as far as the baseball field being used and cleaned up nicely, and I guess soccer plans on using the facility also because they're running out of room with fields in other areas. Other than that, October 27th, we will be participating at the Fire Company number 12 Safe Halloween. That's
Okay.
about it.
Yeah, I was down through there a couple times. I'm really impressed by the work that's being done down there.
It's going to be beautiful.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be beneficial to all the homes in the area with the, you know, hopefully to divert the problem with flooding. We'll get to that, I'm sure, later
Yeah.
on. Anybody in row two? Row three?
You want me up here, or can I do it from here?
If you can speak loud enough, if
I-
you just want to tell us your
I'm an
name.
elementary school teacher, come on. I'm Yvonne Scalise, I live on Spirit Court. I may be jumping the gun here, just questioning, has there been a decision made what they're doing with the bridge on Cornerstone?
No,
No,
not at this point yet.
not at this point. They're just gonna work on building up the banks at this point.
Correct. So the reason the road closure is gonna be coming your way
Yeah.
is for materials to be handled and stored there, because there's really no place for them to store any of the big boulders and whatever they need to do to reinforce that. So that's why the road closure is probably coming. I believe that should be next week sometime.
Well, it's supposed to start at 13.
Correct.
That's okay.
But they came in from the top end.
Yeah, they did, I saw.
Yeah, which I'm kind of glad. We're gonna try to keep it open as long as we can, but
Right.
then, you know, we'll be shutting it.
All right, so no decision on the bridge, though. Okay.
Yeah.
When will that come up again
The bridge?
to discuss it?
We're probably going to be talking
Next
to.
meeting.
Yeah.
We're still gathering information, we're still gathering, we asked for demolition prices, and the contractor has not gotten those to us yet. He acknowledged that he owes us that, and we are also getting pricing on 2 replacement bridges, 2 different types of bridges, so we're trying to gather all our information first.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you, but please don't wipe it off the list.
Did you get her name?
Oh, Lori Hirschberger, I'm sorry, 209 Spirit.
Like,
Okay, next row. Yes, sir.
Richard Wick, 509 East Wesner. The manhole in the newly paved portion of East Wesner Road in the bend needs to be raised. There's been one accident there about a month ago, a fender bender. I don't know if it was ever reported, but I observed that accident. Coming here tonight, I had to really swing out to avoid another car was trying to avoid that manhole. It needs to be raised and made flush with the new pavement.
no, he's not, it's pretty deep.
Yeah, and the problem is there that's on super elevation,
Right.
so we need special risers there that are sloped,
Yeah.
so we'll address that. Yeah.
And I've been told by Keith that the striping is forthcoming. I don't know why it wasn't in the original paving contract. Normally it is put in there, I believe. But in this case, it wasn't.
No, we normally do it separate.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Richard, if I can just add quick, the reason it hasn't happened yet is because it takes dedicated time for them to put down the stripes, and their time has been dedicated elsewhere, but we haven't forgotten about it.
And number three, the school buses appear to be going faster than they used to last year on East Wesner.
Yeah, newer road.
Still 25.
I would have told you that before.
It's still 25 posted speeds.
And I will 100% agree with you on that too. I see that. Everything you said tonight has been things that have been stored up here, so.
It's not just the school
Duly,
buses.
duly noted, it hasn't fallen on deaf ears, so.
We can always go back and oil and chip it if you want.
No, I'll put my foot down on that one.
Anybody else? Next row? Anybody else in the back row? You have something?
I do, I
Okay.
just saw something. Hi, I'm Ann Santiago, I'm at 217 Spirit, and it's the same issue, different question about the bridge. I was just wondering, since they're redoing the creek with, digging it out and excavating it, are they going to excavate the swale that's next to my house also?
It is non-existent.
Because,
Yes, there is. There will be some work done there also.
awesome, great, thank you so much. Thanks.
Anybody else? Okay. Okay, we'll go into reports, and we have Chief Kaiser with us from Northern Berks Regional.
Okay, we just had the August activity report released on Monday at the Police Commission meeting, so I'll go over the numbers for August. For calls for service, Maidencreek had 314 out of a total of 640. Citations written, Maidencreek, there were 76 out of a total of 201. Traffic warnings, 71 out of a total of 142. Vehicle contacts were 125 out of a total of 263. There were 7 arrests in Maidencreek Township, which is a little bit higher than normal, out of 13 total. Crashes, there were a total of 49 crashes, 29 of those were in Maidencreek, 9 were reportable, 17 were non-reportable, and 3 are listed as hit and runs. Basic vehicle maintenance costs. Vehicle 7, which is the black Durango, needed some work with the heater hose, and that wound up being taken to Savage. It's still under warranty for some other repair work as well. So total for costs for vehicle service for the month is $1,109.03. We consumed 1,147 gallons of fuel, which gave us 9,991 miles. Total, 4,770 of those miles were in Maidencreek Township. The hours for service, Maidencreek had 876.3 month hours, or 28.3 day hours. It was a busy month. We had a lot of things happening, activity that we normally don't have happen in the area. most of it was on Lonnie Township, but we had a homicide. That was in August. We had a shooting, an attempted homicide at the end of July. It's a little busy for us. I think, might have mentioned at the last meeting, our National Night Out was a great success. It's gotten so big that we're starting to look at possible other venues for it. We're just kind of running out of space at the high school.
I'm gonna piggyback on, but that's not for your report, but just that what got brought up at the police commission meeting. So I just wanted to note it more or less, probably should have done a public comment, but there was a citizen of Maidencreek that was at the police commission meeting and was making everybody aware. He was throwing ideas out there. So we're having some issues at the lake with graffiti bridge, and there's possible structural failure going on with that bridge, and that is a PennDOT bridge. Somehow Rawa is mixed in that mess. It's getting to the point where there's holes in the bridge, and I believe we, in Maidencreek at the office here, we should probably compile a letter to PennDOT to pretty much put them on notice about it, because it's in bad shape. So there's worries that somebody's gonna get hurt down there. And it was kind of a twofold complaint. It was kind of crime and also the condition of the bridge. So I think we need to take a look at that. You know, again, it's a state bridge, I get it, but we need to kind of, I think, push on them a little bit to either fence it off completely, or they need to do something to remedy that bridge before somebody gets hurt. Because if somebody gets hurt, we're going to be in the finger pointing game, and I don't think we want to be in that position.
And Tom, do you remember when this came up before? I guess they had come to us and they offered to rebuild the bridge like they were going to do with Schaefer, like they did with Schaefer in the county and us, but offer it to us afterwards if they fixed it. And at that point, we decided that was not a wise idea for us. But they were talking about fixing it. The other alternative was to take it out. The other alternative was for them to put a new bridge up, and then we would absorb the cost of it going forward. But that was what, 10, 12 years ago?
A long time ago.
So, they don't inspect the bridges if they're not on their list anymore, correct?
I don't know that. We can definitely send a letter and inform them of our concerns and conditions and ask them to investigate.
Okay, and I think that's where we need to go, just so we can eliminate a few things. Once they close it off, okay, then the person who might get injured assumes a bigger liability at that point in time, am I correct? And, you know, if there's holes all the way through, and I can remember some, I kept trying to brainstorm some ideas as to, could we send somebody out there and maybe steam clean some of the graffiti off, or could they overlay it to cover some of it in maybe a seal coat? But they've got some holes over there that are tremendous.
This is the PennDOT bridge that's, you're talking about the one that's closed currently.
Yes.
Yes.
Correct.
You don't want to go on there and do anything.
No, I
Start assuming any type of liability.
Well, no, I meant that we were going to, like, if they weren't gonna do anything, to at least try to clean it somewhat so that the foul language wasn't as vile to everybody's eyes.
So, and we had that example kind of thrown out of the meeting, and I speak to some of the officers too, but I guess, I don't know, there was an incident, there was some profane things that were on the bridge, and I guess there was a young girl, I guess, was out there and putting a flower over it, but she got caught doing it. So even though she was trying to cover up, you know, nude images and whatnot, you know. But regardless, I think something needs to happen there. I think we need to fence it off or get PennDOT, and we, not us, but PennDOT should probably fence it off and shut it down, and it's over Rawa's thing, so
Centralia had the same
Yeah.
thing, and they started prosecuting. So, you know,
Do you
it's,
know, Chief, does the Berks County have a graffiti?
they used to.
They used to, yeah.
They used
Years
to.
ago they did,
I don't know if they still have that,
Right, you need to remove the graffiti.
yeah, or, yeah.
Yeah.
But since that's a PennDOT bridge, I don't know what exactly
I don't know that
would matter. That's something we would wanna check on. If you,
We'll work on it.
you have contacts at the county yet, so why don't you give them a call and see if there's something that they can do and coordinate that with PennDOT as well.
Was that through adult probation?
No, I think it was a graffiti
It was a,
specialist,
yeah.
and it was its own department. So if you contact the commissioner's office, I'm sure that this was going on right before COVID, and I think COVID was what stopped it. I think that's when they stopped because they weren't doing
The
anything.
cleanup.
Yeah, but they had a team, it was only like 4 people.
The thing is, that's not gonna take care of the
The problem,
failures of the bridge, it's not gonna take
No.
care of the problem.
So
So,
we can direct a letter directly to PennDOT regarding that.
yes, correct. I think it should get blocked off, the fence. Shut it down completely. It'll be twofold. It'll eliminate some of the issues we're having back there with, the crime and whatnot, and then we're also taking that liability, of somebody getting hurt back there, so.
Yeah, there's still people on bikes, and motorcycles that go across.
Oh, I've seen it.
Because you
yeah.
can't, it's like stopping water,
Yep.
you can't stop water, go somewhere.
Till it falls through and then. we're
They
getting
fall
some-
through and then they wanna
Right.
go after us.
yeah.
Do you investigate complaints and violations back there? Do you have any police report or anything
Yeah,
that you
we've
could
had a
generate?
number of them, we made a bunch of arrests back there too.
Yeah,
A lot of drug usage, a lot of,
maybe if you could give that to me,
Parties on the bridge.
I can include that with the letter.
they wouldn't be able to give you the actual report, they'd be able to give you like a synopsis.
That's perfect.
Summary,
Okay,
yeah.
that's all I want, to summary.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've seen one time there's
Like how,
bonfires back there.
Just, the number of,
the number of,
yeah,
over the last,
and the type or something like that, yeah, something like that, yeah.
okay.
I don't know if that was the other thing you were thinking, Chief, but.
I know they don't wanna take any responsibility for the bridge. They wanna get as far away from bridges anymore as they can, I think.
Unfortunately, they're there.
Yeah.
This is like the world of forgotten bridges, we got that one, we got the one on Calcine, we have the one over by the old Blue Marsh, I'm sorry, Blue Falls.
Yep.
They just
Yeah,
can't
they-
just forget about them. And they're
Close your eyes, you
they
don't
need
see
to
them.
build their,
Quite frankly, that would be the problem. If they go and do something with this one, block it off, tear it down, or whatever, they're just gonna move to a different one and cause the same issue, so. They need to, PennDOT needs to take a look at it and react to it, so.
Okay.
That's all I had. I don't know if you had, I don't know if that was it or not, but.
so anyone has any questions?
Okay, so you're gonna.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
And then we're gonna move on to the engineer.
Okay, thank you. You have a copy of the engineer's report. I'll go through the agenda items here that you have listed. The first item is the update on the stream restoration work. So we did receive emergency permits from the state to go into the streams and do restoration work. That work has been started. The township did solicit 3 proposals from contractors. Schlau Excavating, who's in the township, was awarded that work. They are working. They started at the park. I was out yesterday, toured it. I don't know, by now, they're probably close to 80–90% complete.
You're gonna finish by end of the week, they said.
Yeah, so that should be finished tomorrow. And then they also started in the stream behind Blandon Meadows Parkway. From Spirit Court, they entered there, and they're working their way down from that location. We did have a complaint registered with the Fish and Boat Commission. Fish and Boat Commission was out and did an inspection, and they were very happy with the quality of the work and the erosion and sediment control and the construction entrance and everything, so there was nothing, no citing of any violations from them, so.
What was the complaint about specifically?
Just,
Mud in the water.
I'll piggyback that,
Mud
yeah,
in the
so
water.
there was a complaint that there was mud in the water, and just putting this out there for everybody, our permit is we're actually essentially dredging these creeks out, so.
We're allowed to be in.
Yeah, we have the permit from the state has it all approved, and that is the task at hand. We are going through and we are reestablishing the creek channel, the bottom of the creek. So, the water's gonna be muddy for a little while. Nature of the beast. It's approved by the state. Like I said, the fish and the wildlife came out, they looked at it, he looked at the plans, said, hey, everything looks great, you guys are doing a good job. Really was a nothing call, it was quick, and he did his job, and I'm happy that Schlauch is following it to the T, and they're doing a really good job. Our crew is out there hand in hand with them, those guys, props to them, they're doing a really good job staying on the cleanup and hauling the stuff out of there and keeping Schlauch on task at hand, so all parties, good job.
Everything's going along smooth, but when you get something where a complaint goes in, it slows down or stops the project at that point in time. So, just so you guys are aware too, we're trying to do something to help you all out, and there's other people out there that are trying to put clinkers in the gear shifts, you know what I mean? So just think about that.
And I don't know that it was necessarily an intentional thing, which is fine, people don't know, but the other thing is though, till everybody stops what they're doing and runs over to that, you're holding up the job, that's an hour here, an hour there. But keep in mind, Schlauch's on the clock still,
Yeah,
they're getting paid no
we're paying.
matter what, so we're paying that bill. And, it's no surprise that we had flooding in this community, and it's no surprise that we went and did what we could with the state. We got it now, and we're trying to get it taken care of. And, if something is completely looks out of place, then call it in, it should be something that should be raised awareness to, but, for muddy water, when you got a dozer sitting in the middle of the creek right now, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, we're not gonna operate outside the operational level that we're allowed to. I mean, we've got an engineer who is applying for those permits for us. DEP understands the emergent need, and we're trying to meet it so that we can beat the next storm possibly that could be as damaging or worse than the ones that we've had.
And I don't want one more, I gave accolades to our township guys in Schlauch, but also SD, these guys have been out, maybe it might not have been Tom, but he's got a guy out there every day. And, whether he's out there for an hour or a few hours, sometimes I've had him out there for a couple hours. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of people out there and trying to make this right for everybody. So we appreciate it too for you guys, make sure it goes back to green.
I will tell Grant, it's a total team effort,
Yep.
I think it's a team effort by everybody.
Appreciate it.
It looks tremendous, it
We're
does.
getting there. Okay, time extensions. If there's any questions on that? All right, moving on, time extensions. Maidencreek Associates, the warehouse project, that plan review process expires on the 18th of September.
The 20th of November is their extension.
You got something in writing?
Yes, I have it with me.
Okay, I don't have that, so,
There's a letter.
okay, very good.
I'll forward it to you. I thought Greg sent it to you. I'm sorry.
You have it.
Yeah.
So, motion then would be to accept that time extension through, what did you say?
November 20th.
November 20th.
So moved.
I'll second it.
All in agreement?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, then the other one is the crossings at Maidencreek. Is there anyone here for that, from the developer? Okay, so that plan expires also on September 18th. The Planning Commission reviewed that plan and made a recommendation to the board for conditional approval. I believe that there are a number of items to be addressed yet on that preliminary plan. I would like to see that plan revised. Maidencreek Township Authority has a major request to them to look at putting in gravity sewer versus what's being proposed. So I would recommend getting a time extension for that plan also. I think there are two items that should be discussed tonight that affect the plan. One deals with the fee in lieu of for park, open space, recreation. I believe the Park and Rec Board is recommending taking the money,
Yes.
correct? And the Planning Commission, some of the members thought it would be worthwhile to have a small park type, tot lot type lot up there, similar to Treetops, because that's all that would be there. It's only 41 homes, so a decision has to be made by the board whether to accept the fee in lieu of monies or to pursue the land and tot lot.
I'm okay with the fee in lieu of, we have the, Treetops has a playground that's up there already. And quite frankly, it probably doesn't even get used that often. I've been up there a few times with my kids and there's hardly anybody there. Not that that's the point. The point is if we take the fee in lieu of, we can put some improvements into that lot up there and make it more appealing to others. So, and not only that, it's just, yeah, it's not that far away. It's within walking distance.
And the lots are, you know, they're fair sized lots, so that each individual single family home is going to have some, you know, land for individual use by the children. So it's not like it's townhouses where there's no lot or, you know, apartments or something like that where there's no land available. So each lot has, you know, they're decent sized lots.
Jim, do you guys have any, what?
Most are looking for something for kids from maybe 10 to 18 or 16 that can't drive down to the park, and we don't want them crossing the railroad and Park Road. And that was our biggest concern about putting something up there.
I think it's a nice idea to have something there because exactly like what you're saying, that you don't want, they can't drive, you don't want them crossing the railroad.
Yeah,
So that sort of thing.
Doesn't need to be like a full court, you know, maybe.
Yeah.
And maybe you can even add that onto the top lots.
Well, that's what I was thinking. It's, like, I know there's been some complaints, I guess, before about like ticks and stuff, because it's kind of right up against the woods, but again, I think we already have it established. I don't know why we need to really reinvent the wheel when we can improve on what we have up there.
Yeah, the room for it, I don't think that would be a problem.
Yeah.
I think if that lot was cleared out, if that top lot was cleared out, cleaned up nice, and that it might be able to enhance that for that.
Right. Because I think if we had another park I mean, we're already mowing acres already, and then we're just adding another thing of maintenance for the guys, whereas we already have this one established. If we clean it up, maybe, go in there and put different kind of mulch or something like that in there, and try to push some of that brush back and improve on what we have.
So how are the kids gonna get there if they can't drive?
It's in walking distance. It is Treetops. It's
Treetops.
right there.
Well, you're talking about that one, but we're talking about the new development.
Yeah, that's right in front of Treetops.
But you said about crossing the tracks and all that too.
No, they won't need to cross the
No,
track.
yeah.
It keeps them on the same side
Keeps
of
them
the
up on the
track.
hill.
Yeah.
It just takes, instead of putting something else,
Yeah, I think that would be acceptable, just so there's something for the younger
yeah.
teens or the middle teens, to
Right.
place for them to go.
I think, and Hunter's gonna shoot me for this one probably, but I really think if we entertain these fee in lieu ofs, that's what we should take that money and look towards doing, is putting it back into our rec stuff.
I have no objections with what you're
Yes,
saying.
okay,
I think
so-
the law requires.
Yeah,
that's
that
correct.
they
That's
be-
what it's always used for.
Right,
Yeah.
okay, so I think that's huge we have a lot of stuff at the playgrounds right now, especially since we had the flooding, we could do a lot of improvements and quite frankly, I think we have, unless we're looking at developments that are kind of pushed out and away from things that don't have access to it, if this was on the other end of Hill Road, maybe I'd say, yeah, go ahead and do it, but I think at this point, it's super close, it's within walking distance of Treetops. I don't see spending that time into doing that. I'm okay with the fee in lieu of.
There was another issue too about this one lot that we have to, that would have a stormwater basin on it that would have to be maintained by a homeowner?
That's the second item, yes. So that's the second item for
Because we
discussion.
already had a complaint about that last meeting, and another development where this homeowner is responsible for maintaining this
Right.
stormwater basin.
So that is the discussion for the board decision. They're proposing to have the stormwater pond, and it is a wet bottom pond, and it has, you know, a lot of maintenance to it,
Right.
to be part of a single-family lot versus requiring the lot to be on a separate, I'm sorry,
Parcel.
basin to be on a separate lot, and to be then part of a homeowners association and controlled by a homeowners association.
This is in an HOA?
I don't know if they're proposing an HOA up there or not.
At this time, we're not proposing an HOA, we're not.
This would require it then.
Do you have drawings that show this? Because I was curious what this looked like.
Where is this?
So if you go across the railroad tracks where Stony Creek is, and
Okay,
you're heading towards 73, and
yeah,
on the curve, you make a left-hand road, a left-hand turn, that takes you back to treetops on the
Treetops.
right-hand side. On the left-hand side there's fields in there. There was a developer in there years ago, and I believe he declared bankruptcy.
Yes.
And this got transferred, I don't know, by, is it sheriff's sale or whatever, but somehow another developer's in there now, and they've been, this isn't a surprise, I mean, it's been going through for a little bit now, but,
how many homes are supposed to be going in there?
41 singles,
originally it was like,
39 singles.
originally it was supposed to be like 80 doubles, and then I think we shot that down, and then it came down to 40, so.
So it's on the top of the page there.
And they're about half-acre lots, Larry?
Yeah, half acre, some bigger than some. But this is Hill Road down here.
We'll turn it around so you can see it in a second, okay?
So down by the railroad tracks, you put the pond.
Yeah, right, well, the pond's already there.
Correct, yeah.
So this up here is already, this is for like phase two of the subdivision, and we're finishing it out. This was already constructed, it's, I guess it's still, since the BOS permit wasn't terminated on that, it's still functioning as a sediment basin. It's gonna be the stormwater management basin, that was its full intent.
How big is that?
This?
Yeah,
It's over an acre.
Yeah,
it's an acre?
It's over.
Over an acre.
yeah.
So you're proposing that one homeowner have to maintain an acre of stormwater basin?
Yeah, it's, the developer agreed to that, so that's what we did.
I think that's just opening the door for a lot of problems. Going into the future, just,
one person
One
controlling that
farm.
for the order of everybody going in there.
Well, we just experienced this with
Yeah.
the basin that has the
sinkhole,
sinkhole.
I
Yeah.
know, I know.
Being a burden on that person. And
Yeah, and how we need to address it. So I'm not in favor of one person.
Yeah, I don't think it's fine.
I'm thinking if you're gonna do it, a homeowners association, sharing the expense is gonna give it more potential for being dealt with. Otherwise, if they can't do it, then it's gonna fall back and be a burden somehow.
Or it goes into disrepair,
Yeah.
and then, like,
We have to,
well, we don't
deal
have
with
the, we don't have the authority because it belongs, it's private property,
No,
but it causes a
there's an
problem for the
easement.
developer.
We would, yeah.
You have an easement for it, and there is an operation maintenance agreement with the township.
But we don't.
Management.
But that's not, yeah,
yeah,
we're not looking to do that.
no. We weren't looking to do it the last time.
So even if you had it on an individual's lot, you weren't proposing an HOA to maintain it, it would be that lot owner's?
At this time, we're not proposing an HOA, but he's not averse to having an HOA.
He's not living there, right?
As far as I know.
Yeah. Yes,
No,
that's.
I agree, I tend to agree on that. I think that's, you know, when you're talking like a size pond like that, I'm not a big supporter of an HOA. I don't like to be told what to do, but at the end of the day, yeah, we're up against the wall with what we got, well, not what we got, one of the homeowners in our municipality has an issue with a sinkhole. And,
Well, in this case, the HOA would be set up just for maintenance of
Correct.
the facility.
Right.
It would be, you know,
Right, no,
houses must be
Everything
this
else,
color,
yes.
shrubs must be this type, so it
Correct.
wouldn't be restrictive.
correct.
Yeah.
And the roads will be public roads, so that would be the only requirement.
Just for curiosity's sake, where were we looking at the top line at?
I think it was this one. I think that one made it, was big enough.
That's probably gonna be all that far away from.
No, but I was gonna throw this out there, my point being, if we do the fee in lieu of, I think it's the way to go. But, so that's gonna give the developer a lot to sell. And I really think they need to pick up an HOA on that, to pick up that home, that's my opinion.
Okay. We know how to proceed. Okay.
Larry, are you prepared to sign a time extension letter this evening? Or do you want to provide one directly to us, but the board would have to vote to reject if that's not received by the 20th?
I mean, I can submit the request tomorrow.
Okay. I have one drafted here, but
I'm fine signing it, if I
Okay,
need to
yeah,
sign it.
yeah, no problem.
So here's, just so you understand, the two things are either you sign it, give us the board, but then no action. If you don't sign it tonight, then we're gonna take action to deny your plan unless we receive it by
The 20th.
the 20th, probably the 19th, I'd like to be
Okay.
by the 19th, which, whatever Monday is, I would say.
Monday's the 20th, so.
Oh, so it'd be 20th, yeah, so by the 20th. So, if you sign it, if,
Yeah, I can show you what it says.
yeah, if you
want
sign
to
it
say
tonight, then
first.
we don't have to take an action to do that.
Monday's the 18th.
So you wouldn't act, so you're saying you were not gonna conditionally approve these plans?
Oh, no,
Yeah.
it's the 18th that it expires. It's the 18th.
The 18th.
At least that's the read I took. I'm not,
Right,
they're the
yeah,
voters,
that's
but that's the
accurate.
read I had, so yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine, we'll just take that down then.
Perfect.
2020 vision. So what date did you put on there?
I put on the 20th of November, same way it made previous. I'll sign the witness too.
So the board would take action to accept the time extension until November.
We should do that.
Yeah.
Since we're gonna get signed, we can go ahead and do that at once.
Okay.
So moved for, what do they call themselves, Maidencreek?
Well,
Crossing.
Crossing the Maidencreek.
Maidencreek process.
On November 20th.
Yes.
I'll second that motion.
All in agreement?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll give you one of the sides. Just spin it.
Just so you all can see it.
That's But you really,
No, a lot of people don't understand. They don't expect that.
They don't know, understand this.
bone and grass at one
Which I think they did.
Well,
So that revised plans got approved.
And they don't have to go to the planning commission, they just have to be submitted to us to review, to make this, try and clean up the items on the list. It does not have to go back to the planning commission.
So it doesn't, so the date doesn't matter.
No, it just doesn't.
no, I know, well, I read it.
Do we have these plans?
Yeah, we have them.
I'll look at it.
I know, so I know.
Ready, Hunter?
Yes.
Okay, the next item is the paving project. H&K has finished that project. There was a contract came in under budget, $22,594.02 under budget. So we do have a change order number one to decrease the contract amount, number two.
Yeah, the reason it's number 2 is because that extension one is number 1.
No, this is a different contract.
You're right.
That's number one.
Just forgive me.
Yeah, that's okay. So this will be contract for the road paving with H&K.
Yeah.
Change order number 1 to decrease the contract amount by $22,594.02. We need to ratify, no, this is one we need signature on. So I would ask that a motion for the manager to sign that change order.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Is there a question?
Is there a question? They're giving us this money back.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's a
we're all in
decrease.
favor.
All right, all right.
I mean, you know.
I was looking for the total number, but I see what they're doing,
Okay, so there's a second motion now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, we didn't
Well,
vote on this. Wait, no,
I'll
I
second.
Tom told me how this worked and I forgot
So
about
we
it.
gotta vote on
I
this
was,
first.
I thought you had something exciting to
Finish
tell.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Heidi motion,
I second.
you second, all in agreement?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, now we're going to take a payment of the invoice in the amount of, swallow hard, $603,857.48. And that is application for payment number 1 as final to H&K Group.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in agreement?
Aye.
Aye.
If I can just add one thing for the board's thought
Is
this
that 2
evening.
cents and you're gonna make it 50 cents, right?
I wish I could make
Don't
money
start.
like that because I would just rub nickels together all day. I guess that you
I
said
just said
pennies.
2 cents.
Yeah, 2.
Don't go giving that 22,000 back.
So, in-state liquid fuels fund, as of today, we have about 465,000. My current plan, what we had budgeted was 300,000 coming from that. What I'm proposing as my current plan is to use 400,000, which leaves us 65,000 to buy road salt and anti-skid through the winter, before we receive liquid fuels disbursement in March of next year. If you were comfortable with that, then we're only drafting 203,000 from the general fund, which is down from what we estimated at 320,000 because of that split before. So if you do it this way, it's robbing Peter to pay Paul, but cash flow wise, you're improving our position in the general fund when you know that money is coming for liquid fuels next year. So if you're comfortable with that, that's what I would propose that we do. I think it would probably be better to do a motion just because that is such a change from the budget. It's about a $100,000 change. So I would suggest doing that in the form of a motion.
Because you want to show that we're using liquid fuels money for the road
Yes.
projects and the
Yeah.
salt mix. I don't have a
Because
problem with it.
when the auditors look at the budget to what we actually spend, they're gonna see a $100,000 difference. And I wanted to have that source back to board action. Now, we don't have to do it that way, but I would suggest that we do it that way.
I mean, we've spent more than that amount this year,
Yeah, I
so
don't know
we've
how
spent
that
the liquid fuels for liquid fuels type projects.
Yes, yeah.
So, I guess maybe
Sorry.
I'm not understanding this. So just refresh my, you're taking the money out of next year's money.
No,
No.
no.
No,
So,
okay.
as of today, we have 465,000 in liquid fuels. What I'm proposing is.
Without paying these bills.
Without paying these bills, correct?
Okay.
What I'm proposing is you take 400,000 from that and contribute it towards the payment of the agreement. That way,
Of this number.
of,
the
yes, of
603,000.
the 603,000.
Okay, all right, I'm following.
So the balance is then paid from general fund. The
Right.
reason that it was changed is because we were reserving more liquid fuels and we didn't have the cost for West Shore Drive's completion in this year's budget. Well, we did, but we're not doing that work now because that's been extended. So
Okay.
we're saving the money and then incurring it against liquid fuels
Fuels.
rather than the general.
Right,
So
okay.
we're saving on cash flow. I know I'm throwing a lot at you, and it'd probably be better to use the whiteboard in this situation.
That's okay, I
I got it.
understand.
I think it makes sense.
I got you.
Yeah.
I was lost there for a second because I thought this was covered already.
Yeah,
And then when you threw that number out there, I'm like, wait a minute, what are we doing next? That's gonna cost us $400,000.
sorry. So if you wanted to do that, the motion would be $400,000 from liquid fuels, the balance from general fund.
To transfer that amount.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
moved.
I'll second.
All in agreement?
Aye.
Okay, then you also have contract B, that was with Martin Paving for the oil and chip work behind the lake. That work is being pushed off till next year. because of the township's involvement in that, and they got sidetracked with all the other work that they're doing. Martin Paving has agreed to extend their contract price up to a 10% increase of the asphalt maintenance index. And that time extension was signed and executed, and we would like a motion to ratify.
Allowing the manager
that
to
change, yes.
Yeah. So we would, the motion would be to allow the manager to sign the.
Ratify his
Ratify
signature.
the signature,
Yes.
yeah. Do I have that motion?
Yes, so moved.
I'll second it.
All in agreement?
Aye.
Tom, can I just have one clarification? I think that the contractor agreed so long as it did not exceed 10%.
Correct.
Not that they could raise it up to
No,
10%.
no, no, no.
Okay,
So he's
Good
limited.
clarification.
yes.
So he's limiting his work though, so if it does exceed that, then he doesn't have to.
We gotta pull this back and.
Then he's
And
not gonna
probably
honor that
charge
price
us
then.
Yeah,
That's
Then
correct.
it's up to us to decide if we want to pursue.
Yeah.
Or rebid it.
Or rebid, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
That's an important distinction.
Yes.
yeah.
So I guess we really ought to
Amend that.
re-amend it, so.
I think so long as you're authorizing the change order's already been
It's
signed.
worded that,
Ratified his
it's,
signature over.
Yeah.
it's worded that way
And
anyway.
the change order, I'm sorry, the change
Yeah.
order is worded that way.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
I
we're
just,
good.
I just didn't word it correctly.
Right, no, it's
Okay.
worded
All right,
that way,
well,
so
that's
fine, yeah.
Okay, other than that, there were some letters that were sent to developers and to individuals regarding some basin maintenance, and we're pursuing that with those developers.
So what is happening with, one is that villages at Maidencreek, are they,
Yes.
what's going on with that?
They folded down the manhole that was not bolted down, that was pushed off by the surcharging water.
Uh-huh,
So that's been bolted down.
I mean surging on,
Well, the
surcharging.
surcharging. The water was higher and
Right.
pushed up.
Yeah,
And then we're also pursuing with them the maintenance of the pond as far as the growth and the cleaning up. They only maintain it twice a year.
oh, that's not.
They're gonna have to
So-
step that up a
They're
bit.
gonna have to step that up. It was not meant to be a wet bottom pond, but there are reeds growing in it and stuff that grows in it and just clogs the outlet. So we're pursuing that with them. And then with the Melrose developer, we're pursuing, again, some modifications, some cleanup there, and some maintenance on his ponds also.
I wanted to bring that up tonight too, so I'm glad you mentioned it. I was back there, not that long ago, and the inlets and stuff are still, there's still debris. I mean, I know we had this last storm and whatnot over the weekend, but, I think that these inlets need to get looked at and cleaned out, unclogged, because there's still a lot of debris in some of them.
Anything that's in your roads, you understand that.
It's on us.
It's on you.
And
And
Well-
roads have been dedicated.
But this one's, this was some of the stuff going back towards that pond, though.
Yes, so that will be on him, yeah.
And we have, Keith and I have talked about stepping up our review of those. We're working to get past the work that we're doing with the creeks prior to working on those.
No,
things.
in particular, I walked back to look at that pond that was back there, and I parked and walked, and I looked, and there was, that stuff's still in there, so.
Well, I guess we're running out of time on the creek work, because we're coming into winter. So we'll be done with that.
Well, the emergency permits were only for 60 days.
60 days,
Now,
right.
if we need to get an extension, we would go for an extension.
Mhm.
I do believe a lot of the work, the cleanup work can still be done through the winter,
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
so.
So we filed for the extension, is there a cost associated with that? Okay.
That's fine.
All right.
It's
Is it a
an
60-day
extension.
extension or 90
We would
days?
probably ask for a 60-day extension.
Can you go for a 90-day?
We could ask for anything, see what they say.
I just, that'll help lighten the load for these guys and help
Sure.
Keith's
Less
schedule. Because we got things to get ready for winter and whatnot, and I think that takes some pressure off these guys to.
Especially if we show them, work that's been
Correct.
done, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, try to get it out as far as we can.
Right.
And it continues to rain quite a bit. So, limit some of the work that can be done sometimes.
So any questions I can answer, and that would be complete my report.
Have you heard anything from PennDOT as far as the 73 bridge?
73 bridge. I have not.
Have you, Hunter?
Yeah, I texted the board.
Okay, but I meant, like, is there something that,
They were supposed to start work on cleaning it out,
Yeah.
is what your text was.
Yeah.
Right.
I just didn't know if you had any,
Monday, the 18th is when they're starting, and 21st would be the date that they'd actually go in and take out stuff from underneath the
so the 18th is,
Monday.
so the 18th, they're gonna start mobilizing, the 21st, they're gonna start hauling out at the Route 73 bridge. I just wanted to get that out for
Oh, okay.
the public.
I
That's
didn't
why.
realize what you were asking.
No, I was a bait switch on you, buddy. So I just wanted to get that out there, public knowledge, so, 73 bridge is getting unclogged.
Is that
So
gonna
what
be
that
stopping
means-
traffic?
I don't think they need to, it's all underneath.
So that.
No? They can
that-
stage,
Everything's underneath, yeah, it should be good.
The 18th is to clear away the brush so that they can stage everything down there.
okay, great.
Yeah. And the 21st is the day they're actually taking material out from underneath the bridge.
So just so everybody knows, this is part of the overall plan that we were working with to try to keep the water flowing. And when you have backup, it backs all the way up into your properties. So as this progresses, we should see a big, big improvement.
And I may have said it in public before, I don't know, but I try to dumb it, not dumb it down, but simplify it a little bit. It's like having a funnel, and you pour rice in a funnel. If you pour it slow enough, the rice is gonna come out the bottom. If you dump the whole bag in there, it's not gonna come out the bottom. That's the 73 bridge, that's the funnel, that's the neck of the funnel, so. And I don't know if anybody is on the call here tonight, but I will say I appreciate PennDOT stepping up to the plate on this one and helping out the community on this one. It's about time.
When I think of sales assistants, it's under Gebhardt's office too, that made phone calls to PennDOT to expedite this too, so
All
appreciate
parties.
their help too.
Absolutely.
Two updates I can mention to you. We did get a review on the brake retarder study. We did modify that in accordance with their review and resubmitted. There was a section of 222 going north of the second circle that was over 55 miles per hour, which we had to eliminate from the brake retarder study area.
Going north.
Going north.
So what will be the needs for somebody to use a brake retarder going north anyway?
Shouldn't.
They should be accelerating, not.
Yeah, if somebody pulls out from Pleasant Hill Road or something like
Yeah.
that, maybe, but otherwise, there's no reason.
And then the low dam permit is being issued by DEP. We were notified that everything has been approved and that permit is being issued.
The back permit.
The back permit for after the fact.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, solicitor report.
If you recall, in August, as part of Tom's report, he reported that the planning commission in his office had finished up the stormwater ordinance, and then you took action to authorize completion of the ordinance and
Yep.
get it advertised for this evening. So we did that, we advertised it last week, that we're considering it this evening. We posted it, we had copies available here, copies available at the newspaper. So the ordinance is ready for your consideration and adoption tonight. And essentially, it just outlines what it is that you are replacing the entirety of Chapter 182 Stormwater Management in your code, replacing it with the planning, with Tom's office and the planning commission wrote. Gives the authority for it, so it's appropriate for the board to adopt. You want to give ordinance number 256. As advertised.
I will say I read through it pretty in-depth, and I appreciate the efforts of all you guys too. It's a solid job, so I'll make the motion that we move to adopt ordinance number 256 for stormwater maintenance management.
I'll second that, and I think we're supposed to have public comment on this too.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Which will be after the motion, sorry, yes.
Yeah, okay, no, I think it's a good thing to have this updated so that it deals with some of the stormwater issues that we're experiencing these last several years.
Just to kind of summarize for the public, we've definitely beefed things up and reinforced some of the stuff that was already in here, and I believe we added some things too.
We do, we're up, we've gone up and beyond, or the township has gone up and beyond what the DEP standard ordinance was, so taking appropriate actions.
So we had a motion and a second. All in agreement?
No, we need public comment.
See if there's any.
Is there any public comment on it?
I didn't expect there would be, but we have to ask.
Anybody
That's the whole purpose of
Yeah.
this, yes.
Anybody online?
They can't interact unless I let them.
Okay.
Do you want me to let them?
Yeah.
Well, if anybody has a comment.
If anybody has a comment, they should be able to.
If anybody has a comment, they can send something in the chat and I can unmute them.
Is there anybody online that has any questions about the stormwater management ordinance? And nobody here has anything?
Somebody's gonna have something, you keep asking.
I mean, it's quite extensive, there's so
It is,
many
it covers
pages
a
here.
lot.
This, this is quite a
It's technical, and I do this for a living, so I looked at it real close because I wanted to see it, and I said these guys did a great job, so take it for what it's worth. It's solid.
Okay,
I need a motion.
we have a motion.
No, I mean, we need that.
Yeah, that's all right.
So,
Good.
shake hands, yeah.
So, ready for the vote? Any questions from the board? All in agreement?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that takes care of that.
That's all that I have. Oh, other than just to report that the next conditional use hearing on the Maidencreek warehouse is September 20th. Yes, thank you.
Here.
It's here, it's at 6:30, and that night we do have 2 nights also scheduled in July, so we will announce those dates.
In July?
Excuse me, in October. Going backwards.
We're going back on vacation.
Exactly.
That far forward.
In October, and we will announce those dates at the conditional use hearing next week.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Manager of Public Works.
So the first item we have here is discussion of tax revenue anticipation note, or a TRAN option. So this is a common method that municipalities use to help their cash flow position at the beginning of the year before taxes come in. Basically, you're opening a line of credit against your tax base. We can talk about the need for some of that, but in terms of how we talked about this at the special meeting we had on the 24th, I believe it was, regarding the storm cleanup work, we're running into an issue where we could potentially be very tight, if not at a loss, on cash flow if we don't have some of these options in place for the beginning of next year. What I've worked on so far with Tompkins, they have not provided a TRAN option, but a regular line of credit option that we can put in place before the next year. I don't think that that is where we want to go. So if the board approves the second item with PFM, I'd like to work with them to try and identify a different lender who will offer us the TRAN option, because the TRAN option is tax deductible or tax-free. It also qualifies for specialized rates that would be lower than the market interest rates would be. You only pay interest on the money you actually borrow, not the entire amount. So we would likely apply for whatever the township's financial position can accommodate. Jamie from PFM, in my estimate, is about $750,000. We won't need all of that, but the TRAN is something we can have in place for January 1st, so we don't run into issues with paying the bills on time. So with that being said, the document that's in there with the term sheet from Tompkins, I would not recommend that you approve that. And I think Jamie said he has concerns about whether municipalities could even look at a regular market credit. So for those reasons, I think that you don't want to take any action on this tonight, but if we are going to work with PFM, they're going to be able to identify some banks that will give us options for the TRAN.
I guess I'm not following some of this. The line of credit is, you just draw on the line of credit as you need for your cash flow. And you said something about whether it's tax deductible?
I meant tax-free.
Tax-free.
Yes. So there are taxes that apply on the line of credit options that Tompkins gave us, and that is not it's not acceptable for
Well, who
municipalities.
charges taxes on a line of credit?
The federal government does.
They would
For
charge.
government.
On the issuance of the line of credit as it's structured,
From
it
a
would
bank.
not be tax-free, yes. Yeah, which is why I'm saying not to do it.
I've never heard of that.
What was the bank that we had that specifically does, I can't.
Government,
It's
it's,
slipped my mind.
Oh,
Is it-
Pliget.
Pliget.
No, they don't
Pliget doesn't
offer.
offer that?
No, no, Pliget is actually a product of PFM, the firm, Public Financial Management, but they don't do any type of lending. They're only investment-oriented
Right.
savings accounts.
Like, I guess I have I mean, we're gonna pay this company, PFM, or you're saying that
We're not,
if we did
so
that?
if we did this with PFM,
Mhm.
this issue on the Tran, they would not charge us anything for it.
But if we wanted something else, then they would.
If we did something that required formalized work, so that would be most likely in a bond issue, or if we did like some type of deep financial analysis or something along those lines, those are products that they offer, that would be paid. Everything that we would engage with them for them representing us as well as the township authority for the authority's bond issuance, they're only charging the authority for those expenses because it's their issuance.
And that's who's doing their stuff.
Correct.
Okay, I
Yes,
guess.
yes.
Because I was gonna ask you, why can't you Google this, why do we gotta pay somebody to do it?
Yeah, we're not paying
Okay.
paying them
I
to do
got you.
this.
So they would make recommendations
Yeah,
on other
yeah.
banks?
Yeah,
So how much does the federal government tax a line of credit?
I don't know.
I'd like to see some of that information because this just seems really unusual.
Well,
sure, also.
so, do you
We're-
wanna
we're
see that
tax-free for everything
information?
else.
Well, I know, why would they
Government.
put it, yeah, I mean, like, look, you know,
Yeah,
Is it a function of them not taxing the interest that the banks, I think that's where it's coming from. The bank charges you interest,
Yeah.
they have to pay taxes on the interest they're earning from you. So I think what they're not taxing is the interest, so they can give you a lower interest rate. That's why you walk away with a better interest rate because they're receiving it tax-free, so
Yeah.
they're not netting it out to get the higher number.
Yes.
Or grossing it out, I
so
should say.
the federal government's actually taxing the bank.
Yes, not you.
They're not
And
taxing the
that's-
town.
But I think that's where it is, so.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can walk away with a better deal.
when I talked to the lender at Tompkins about applying for the tax exemption through DCED, they were like, well, we don't have the ability to do that. And I think that's probably a reflection of not talking to the right person. But I know the guys at Tompkins connected us with the government people, so I'm surprised, which is why we're at this point with Jamie, looking to try and identify who other banks would be eligible
So
for us to work with.
what is it that you think that we're not gonna be able to meet at the beginning of the year payroll? Because
So,
what happens is the taxes take a while to come in after the first
yeah.
of the year.
So right now, I'm estimating that you're gonna pay anywhere from 275,000 to 300,000 in bills every month. So if you get to March, that's $900,000. What I anticipate we will finish the year with is about 500,000, 525, I think is what I have. I have it actually at home.
But by March, we should start seeing our money come in a pretty
So
steady fashion, yeah.
my projection right now is December 31st in the general fund, you'll have $508,649. That could change to go up a lot, and that includes us doing the liquid fuels change that I talked about earlier. So that would get us through potentially February or come short of getting you through February. So I think to break it down, let me pull this quick.
Are you looking just for an okay tonight to talk to PFM to see what they can do to come up with an idea for a Tran?
Well, so my understanding was the board's direction previously was to look at getting a line of credit options in place for you guys to consider.
Right.
I'm not working with the right person at Tompkins, and Jamie was offering advice without legal liability, and I trust Jamie.
Jamie used to work at Township, or reason?
No, I know Jamie from working at Exeter Township, from him doing work at Exeter Township and Exeter Township schools. And
Through PFM.
PFM is the flagship organization nationwide for bond issuance. So he was walking me through some of this process, and PFM has relationship with some of these organizations, and he's committed that they'll do all of this work for us for free because we're already engaged with them. And they also will then have a fiduciary responsibility under the law to the township, which covers both this work, the work that they're doing with us and the township authority, as well as anything that we would do in the future.
So have you spoken to any other townships that do have a line of credit, who they use for that?
No. No. I mean, this is a pretty common practice.
Well, no, I know, but what, you know, which banks they're using that give them, and what interest rates they're doing?
No, I didn't do that myself, no.
Because that could potentially give us some leads to.
Maybe you do that for next month's meeting.
Do you, okay. Yeah,
Oh.
we'll find options.
I mean,
What I'm saying, what I was thinking too, is we have other meetings coming up in between.
yeah,
Maybe we can, if we
Right,
need,
meeting on the
'cause-
20th.
yeah, because I'm sure you want to get this handled sooner than later, right? So I kind of figured where you're going with that. So I guess I'm okay looking in, doing a little bit of legwork there.
Yeah.
And then.
will you have that information by the 20th though? I mean, we're talking next week, Tuesday.
You're gonna have some other budget meetings and stuff.
Yeah,
that's what I'm
You're gonna have
saying.
more-
We got-
more-
we got-
Well, it is
there's
budget
a lot of
next
stuff
week. You got
going on
other
here.
stuff where you're gonna have special meetings set, you
Yeah.
just advertise them
I
the
mean,
right way.
When we need to have information by, I will have it by,
Okay.
one way or another. I think that working with PFM is gonna be the easiest route because some of this stuff is new to me. I've been working with DCD and making these filings and.
Well,
part of the
this is new to us because we've never had to do that before.
Yeah, yeah.
So I guess I kind of look at it a couple different ways. You know, we're in a situation now apparently that we need to do this. But, you know, we're gonna be talking at budget meetings. So that probably would be the most fitting place to discuss it.
Well, yeah, I understand what you're saying.
And if you have the information at that point, then we could go on it, because we're gonna be advertising those meetings anyway.
When you say information, you mean about the train?
Yes.
Fine options and stuff.
And PFM and what they're gonna offer, and,
Sure. Yep.
because we don't really have a solidified pattern right now.
Yeah, okay.
Would you agree?
You mean in terms of being able to pay the bills? Or?
No, I mean, in what we're gonna have to do. We're approving you to engage with PFM and talk to them about
Okay.
what they can do,
I see what you're saying.
but we're not gonna say, go ahead and do it, because we don't have any information at this point.
No, yeah, I understand that. Okay, yes, I'm on the same page.
Okay, everybody else?
Well, he was asking for approvals to have this engagement letter, so that could include then, at no cost to the township.
Right.
So it could
It's not a
include questions
commitment.
about line of credit.
Yeah, it's not a
Yeah.
commitment to go with them, it's just
It's a
get
commitment.
us the information that we need.
Yeah,
And this engagement letter also establishes their fiduciary responsibility, and I say that way because it is a legal term. They have a fiduciary responsibility to give us advice in our best interest. And that's like a Dodd-Frank requirement.
I have no problem with doing that, as long as, well, we wouldn't even need a motion to do that if we,
No, we
if it's not
No, you
obligating us
don't.
financially.
We do because it's an
But
engagement
you're
Yeah.
letter.
engaging it. The letter, if we were just doing it, I would agree with the letter and making it more formal is
Yeah.
do a motion.
Yeah, because there's a signature involved.
There's no cost.
Here's the weird thing though, is like, we got this, Tompkins sent it to us, so. But yeah, we need some, it's fine.
And just so I'm clear, PFM would not do anything that the banks would do. So they're just like a consultant or an advisor who would be working through this process. And it's not just this work on the TRAN that they'd be assisting with, it's having a fiduciary responsibility to the township through the bond issuance that the authority is doing. Now, technically, we don't have to do that, but if we have them engaged, then again, they have that fiduciary responsibility to give us advice in our best interest during that process.
So are we gonna have that anyway as a result of the paperwork we sign with them?
Have we signed any paperwork with the?
Not yet, but we're going to.
Yeah. You would not have, you do not have to do both. You wouldn't have to engage with PFM in order to sign that paperwork on behalf of the township.
We will be engaged with them already though, wouldn't we?
That's what I'm saying, we'd have that engagement through the authorities.
The authority,
No.
They're a separate entity. So
but they're asking for our,
guarantee of it.
Right.
So and that's them representing the authority doing what, and the authority has to get, since they're issuing bonds, they need to get your guarantee to do that.
okay, so.
So
we
this,
have
this
to-
now, right, where Hunter's correct, this now takes them to the next level where they're actually representing both the authority and you in your best interest.
Well, then we ought to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry that I'm glad that Eric jumped in.
So
Some
whose
of this is
signature-
confusing for me
Whose
too.
signature is it that you actually need? Yours?
Yeah, that's mine.
The manager.
So do I have a motion to approve the manager to engage with PFM via signature as a financial consultant for Maidencreek Township?
At no cost to the
At
township.
no cost to the
And I'll
township.
make that motion.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in agreement?
Aye.
Okay.
So if there's ever work in the future that they would want to bill us for, does that motion, the way that it's structured, create an issue?
No.
You have to
Only if
come back
you
in.
need to bring it here and get it approved for
Okay,
payment
then
first.
that's fine.
It's
Yeah.
just, right now, the relationship is no payment.
Yeah.
So long as they understand that, if they wanna go beyond that and ask for a payment, they need to get that approved before.
And this doesn't affect their loan or us from ever future
We're separate.
consideration, so, okay. I'm fine with that.
So that took care of your first two bullet items, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, discussion of possible action on Grove and Golden Road stream restoration work. So this, and I have the map open here that SDE provided. This is the part for Grove and Golden Road work to reestablish the stream beds and also, I'm missing the right word, put the outlet structure back on.
And we'll,
End wall.
it's a double pipe, double end wall, it's huge.
Probably moved 8 foot at least.
Yeah, generally.
8 foot.
It's knocked off the end of the,
Yeah.
there's 2 pipes that come out, and there's an end wall on the end of it. Well, the end wall is now like here, about 8 foot away.
Did this all
Need
happen in
longer
this last
pipes.
storm, or is this progressive?
No, this happened on
This
this
happened.
one.
All of it, that
Yeah.
8-foot movement?
Massive erosion.
Oh, it's,
That's, I was down in there looking at it, it's pretty far away. It's- And
yeah.
our equipment is not moving.
It's okay.
Talk about raining on our parade, I mean, this year is.
Well, and I know his picture doesn't show it there, but the residents that live down there, they have a fifth wheel trailer that they store there, and they used to be able to mow behind their trailer, and this, like, trailer's like here, and it's like here. That's how much it eroded the embankment. And when it did all that is when it took the end wall with it, so it's,
And who's gonna do that work?
well, that's where he's getting to.
So Schlauk offered us a proposal to do that work, which would include a longer-term stream restoration in this area that they've pointed out here. And to bring that, what was the word that you used, Tom? Something wall?
End wall.
End wall, and bring the end wall back onto the stormwater pipes.
The one that's there already.
This end wall
Yes,
sits right here.
because there's 2 that they need to attach it back onto.
This is Golden Drive, the old mill is up here.
Yeah.
This is the house at the corner before it goes over to Hill Road. So this is our township lot, we own this whole thing here. But yes, this end wall here separated off and is now pretty far away. This whole area just got eroded out bad. And then this down here is like, looks like a quarry exploded because there's stone everywhere in there.
So, I have financial concerns about doing this, for reasons that we kind of just were alluding to. But you guys are the decision makers. years. And this is work that the staff thinks is important enough for you guys to weigh with the best information that we can give. The quote that they provided from Schlau,
64,940.
yeah, and there's gonna be some additional costs on the back that they've added as well for the erosion control, restoration work, and then mobilization work. So you're getting to $75,000. Now, I did ask them, what would it be if they were just reattaching the end wall and reforming those banks right where the end wall comes out? And he said that that would bring it down to about a third. At that point, you're looking anywhere between $20,000 to $30,000.
But it's not remedying the situation, it could put us right back to where we are.
I would let Tom answer that, because I don't know the answer to that.
It's two different things. The work up at the inlets is independent, separate from the stream restoration work. So, and Keith, the stream restoration work, that we don't have any house flooding there, or any damage to houses there, other than right at the pipes, right?
There's no,
flooding.
There's massive erosion and it washed all down the lines of the property.
Right.
and I do know for a fact, because I know some people live down there, but, so the new homes that got built, so the first house, this house here, used to be the old Blandon pool. That there, they had flooding in their place, and I know these two here, the new doubles that were put in, they don't have a basement, but the water was about that high up on their sliding patio door. So it definitely, I mean, the whole area flooded, the Lions Club and everything flooded, but they.
Yeah, we got 8 feet of water across the grove, and that grove is really wide, we had 8 feet of water.
Yeah.
So what would this do to remedy that? The restoration, the head wall we've got to deal with.
Yeah, that has to get done. But
So
you're
that's-
saying the minimum stuff, like the $25,000-$30,000
I
Band-Aid?
mean, that's not gonna do a whole lot because
That's-
it's still gonna flood.
That's essentially a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
And like I said, Hunter's right, I hate saying it that way too, but it does, it all comes down to the dollar, it comes down to the dollars and cents.
Oh, I understand what
Yeah,
you're
it comes down to the dollars and cents, I get it, but the other side of this is it needs to get fixed. You
So
know?
we're,
And
you know, it's whether we fix it today or we're gonna fix it tomorrow.
Look how far you kick the can down the road.
The challenge, and this is where the decision is hard, and I don't have an answer for you guys. The challenge is that the cost for doing this work after the emergency permits expires is going to be significantly
higher.
Oh
higher.
my God, yeah, to get a new permit's gonna be 10 grand.
And I have another question too, there's work at the West Walnut Tree Bridge that hasn't been, there's nothing that's happened there, and there's people being flooded there. I think that should be looked at too, because we have a severe erosion at that bridge that's been documented, and that's continuing to eat away and move the stream towards the road.
I'm gonna push back on that.
Well, no, I mean, it's a serious problem.
I get it.
know we had flooding here, we have flooding all
I
over
get
the
it.
place, and this township bridge is our infrastructure.
I get it.
And people use that bridge.
The permit doesn't cover West
Correct.
Walnut Tree Bridge.
Correct.
No, we're securing a separate permit for that,
That's-
and that's in the DEP 90-day review cycle. I think they sent an email to you on that. I think their time limit is up sometime in October, I believe, on that.
Is that
They're
just a
gonna add that.
notification, or were they asking for something? Because I don't remember.
No,
them
that's
asking for
their technical review.
So when could we expect a DEP permit for the West Walnut Tree Bridge?
I would hope end of October. I think that was the 90-day window, the end of their period of time, yes.
To actually issue the permit?
Yeah.
And then that permit would be good for how long?
2 years.
2 years, okay.
That's a separate.
Because my concern is that it just continues to erode and continues
That's a
to.
separate permit.
No, I understand.
Yeah, we gotta start somewhere.
But that's,
Yeah, we have started.
That's also, we're also on the road with the grant on that one, right?
Well, we don't know if we're gonna get a grant.
Yeah,
That's
but
obviously
that's
the problem.
that's out there right now, we're waiting on that.
That's next year's.
Take care of it.
Yeah. For next year's construction cycle.
Don't remind me to follow up with you on that piece that you just mentioned about their notification to me, because I
It was
don't
an
know if I
email
recall
from Chuck.
that. Oh, okay.
Have you received anything more from Pima or FEMA?
So we received our, this is gonna sound bad the way I say it, we have received our first email from FEMA yesterday or Tuesday.
FEMA.
FEMA.
Wow.
Notifying us that they were transitioning the initial point of contact from FEMA to Pima, which is part of an administrative process that they're doing because we applied through County Berks. To the best of my knowledge, nothing has changed. And in addition, based on public reporting, how much this factors in, I don't know. I personally think it factors in a lot. FEMA is saying that their emergency response fund that's appropriated annually by Congress is so low that they're no longer doing rebuilding work. And we don't have any emergency response work left. We only have rebuilding work. So we are not going to be approved until the administration has that fund refilled. Now, they have been working with Congress to refill it. I know that especially the Florida delegation is working to bring that to the floor. My guess is it'll probably get done with the government spending bills to avert a shutdown, but until that point, I don't really know if we'll get anything until that's fixed next year. The government shutdown bills will be end of September.
Yeah.
So they have the shutdown would occur, I believe, October 1st if they don't complete it by the 30th. They may pass themselves an extension and just go a few more days. But if that doesn't happen, then we won't see any money until January when the fund resets.
And what percent are they paying out, or do we have any idea what that dollar amount would be?
Well, the annual, excuse me, the appropriation that they receive annually is $20 billion for that fund. If I remember correctly, it's $2.4 billion is what's left. What I think I saw that Congress was looking to do is bring another $12 million. 12 billion. 12 billion is based on what Senator Rick Scott said. I mean, I'm bringing in my C-SPAN knowledge into something that affects us directly. So I don't want to put huge stock in these things, but that's what they were saying. It's 12 billion additional for the rest of this year, plus the 20 billion that would reset in the fund next year.
That's FEMA, so since they punted this back to Pima.
Well, they didn't punt the whole thing back. All they're doing is funding the administrative part of it.
Yes.
So FEMA would still supply funding if they had it, but we are still going through the storm season in Florida and the South.
Yes.
And that's all gonna consume some of the money.
Yeah.
So it all depends on who cries the loudest gets the most money.
Because that's my next question, assuming that, depending how all this plays out, that, say, January 1st comes, and then they have a fund that's got $20 billion or whatever it is, do we have any idea what percent would be actually funded for the requests put in by, like, say, the county Berks and other places?
And would it go retroactively?
There is somebody raising their hand for a public comment.
Patty Deming.
Yeah, do you want me to turn it?
Yeah, would you please? So the retroactive part of it would be a big question. You know, is it gonna be retroactive, or are they going to stabilize it going forward to just new disasters? Yeah.
I mean, has the Congresswoman Dean's office given us any?
Yes, I mean, they sent a letter to the administration that was signed by Senator Casey, Senator Fetterman, and then the rest of the folks that were affected. So that was Congresswoman Houlihan, Congressman Fitzpatrick, Congresswoman Dean, Congressman Muser. I don't think, Mary Kay Scanlon may have been on there as well. But the whole delegation that represents Southeast PA that was affected by the floods in Northampton, Bucks, and Berks all signed that letter. My guess is that that doesn't turn into more support other than them voting in favor of it, because, and I'm not trying to be political with this, but of that group, I think 6 signed, 2 are Republicans, for Democrats and Congress is split. So they're not gonna overrule the administration in their choice to suspend those allocations until more money is funded into the fund.
Well, they also had New Jersey and Delaware as part of this, so that makes it the FEMA responsibility of involvement.
Yeah. I think Mr. Deming is looking to make a comment.
Hi, it's Patty Deming.
Sorry,
Can you hear
Patty.
me?
We got
It's
you.
okay. It's okay, we're one and the same lately. I just wanted to add another point to that. I've been calling the congressman and the representatives about FEMA, and I found out that even if we don't get any money, the only way we can get a tax break when you're income tax is if it's a federally designated disaster. So that is, I mean, even if the money runs out, if they could still designate us as a disaster, we might be able to, you know, I'm not an accountant or anything like that, but the amount of money that we put into our home is been a lot, and that hopefully would at least help us with our taxes. So I would encourage, and thank you guys for getting us the contact numbers, and we have to keep up and keep contacting these people and telling them our situation, because we don't want to be forgotten. And
No.
we appreciate all your hard work.
Are you back in your house again?
No, I know, it's 9 weeks. Hopefully, in the next 2 weeks, we'll be back in. And then I don't know if that's a good thing or not. That, not to be ungrateful, but it's just,
Sure,
you're gonna
sure.
worry every time it rains, but that's another bridge we have to cross.
Well, we're hoping that with some of the work we're doing, it would at least alleviate some of those fears for you.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
looks good up there. I mean,
Yeah.
it looks good what they're doing. It's real, the banks are really high.
And then probably later on, if we could talk about anything that we could do as a neighborhood. I mean, we looked at, it's hard to discern what's considered township property and what's private property, but there still seems to be like a lot of areas that need to be cleaned up, and I don't know if, I know our Limestone Village has been so supportive through this whole thing. If there's any time that the residents can be helping with things,
Yeah, we're all in.
we are ready to get dirty and
Do whatever we
help
can
your
do.
cause to make our life better, so. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's, if we wanna, to your contacts again, if you could pass along those sentiments.
We can write another letter and then talk to the Congresswoman's office, and then I think it might be better to write a letter to Congresswoman Dean as well as Senator Casey and Senator Fetterman.
Yeah.
Articulate that to them. Because I think what really hinges on the issue, as far as I can tell, is the funding that they're gonna have. I think that when you declare disaster emergency, statute unlocks certain money, so.
But it
without
doesn't
knowing-
unlock it if they don't have it,
Exactly.
so.
Well, and that
Even
might
if they
be-
can do that to help these folks out so that they can utilize it in their taxes, I
Yeah.
think it would be a big help for a lot of people.
Understood.
So if you could emphasize that in your letter.
But that's not gonna get us away from this right here.
No,
What-
how we're dealing with Golden Grove.
I guess one of the questions I have, and I think you kind of explained it to me before, Hunter, is this ARPA fund that we have.
Mhm.
Is this, it's not spoken for yet? Like, it's not, we don't have it
The
doled out to.
The only thing that was spoken for explicitly
Mhm.
was the generator for the fire company,
Correct.
and I don't remember the exact piece of equipment, but piece of equipment for the ambulance company.
Okay.
The ambulance company did have their check cut from that fund.
Okay.
To the best of my knowledge, and I think Danny left,
You did get a call.
Yeah, cool.
the fire company has still not requested the payment for I think it's a Generac generator.
Yeah, do we know the dollar amount on that? Did they ballpark it?
If memory serves me, it's like 30 grand. But I don't,
It's like a whole house generator, like off.
I was
Yeah.
like 60 to 70% confident in
That's
the
fine,
answer.
but
And
that's
the-
fine.
That was also as a combination emergency management type use for people to wait at the firehouse in the event that there was a problem at their house. Am I correct, Jim? Yeah. So are you gonna see Danny in the next couple of days or?
I don't know.
I'll ask him, I run into him every now and then.
Yeah.
They want to ask.
Okay.
Get him.
Patty?
We're working on it, Patty.
Where'd she go? She moved.
I think that's 54.
Oh,
Patty, do you have a question for us again?
I just asked her to unmute. It's going to take a second.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm done.
Okay, then hand us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I think to the point of the ARPA fund, that ARPA funding was moved to our general fund. So we've incorporated that into our budget.
Yes. So the board passed a resolution in, I believe it was March of 2022 to do that, to like basically
We did.
consider it all lost revenue. So you've kept it separate and we've just been listing it that way in Pliget because that was the biggest chunk of change. As I'm thinking about this now, I'm anticipating $200,000 to come from ARPA to pay for the road work. And in addition, I'm estimating right now $300,000 of stream work cleanup, which is more than what's there. So those two added together would zero you out in ARPA, and then we would pay the cost of the Generac from the general fund as just an accounting change whenever that comes through.
But the 300,000 stream work, what does that include?
That includes, it doesn't include Grove and Goulden.
It's all the other work. So basically, we spent the ARPA funds is the bottom
Well,
line, is
that's
what
what-
you're
yeah,
saying.
that's what I was
Yes.
asking.
All that's been spent because of all the different projects we've had already.
Yes,
That's what I was asking.
yes.
But
And I didn't separate them when we talked about it at August's meeting. I was just saying the total fund balance.
Right, and that's,
Yeah.
so you've incorporated all these funds, and that's what's leading to the request for a line of credit next year, because we've spent the money.
Yes.
It's basically all
Yes.
of the combined funds of wherever they came from, liquid fuels, ARPA, tax revenue, whatever they are.
Yes.
Mhm. Okay.
so the money tonight that we are paying the road bill with is coming from basically that money that went into the general fund.
Yes, so you see 497 on American Rescue Plan on the front page of the treasury report. That'll go down to 297 when I cut the checks for H&K. There will be some change in there, so it'll be $203,000. Then the 297,689.68 will go towards paying for the stream cleanup. That's both Schlauch's work and then our guys' work for buying some of the materials to offset those costs, dump fees, and then miscellaneous things that come up as part of that work.
So the money for the generator is still,
We would, I mean, I can save, what I was thinking to do was that we would pay that out of just the general fund, because it all is general fund money. I can
Right.
keep 30,000 there if you just wanna have it like as a
Earmarked.
dedication. Yeah, so that's not a problem if you wanna do it that way.
well, I want to make sure it's there
Yeah,
because this is all, I mean, it's all for the community benefit anyway.
yeah, that's not a problem, I can do it that way.
But 497,000 was 900,000.
Yes.
Where was the other 500,000?
So the other 500,000, and
And you just
I
have
gotta
to,
pull up my notes.
because I don't remember
Okay, so
age.
I'm giving you kind of, what's the word? a sneak preview of 5-year budget numbers. So in 2023, the deficit, when you look at, or in 2022, the expenses that increased significantly was to the tune of $298,917.
Right.
When we went to our budget surplus last year was 98,000. Our audited budget surplus for 2021, because I'm going back now, when we got our first ARPA disbursement, was $59,201 when you take out ARPA. With ARPA, it was $555,228. The audited surplus we had in 2022 was $98,121. When you take out ARPA disbursement number 2, that was a deficit of $401,043. When you look at the deficit that the board approved in this current year's budget for 2023, so you approve that budget in 2022 for 2023, and you add in all of the one-time expenses that we've had, so the increase in road work, the conditional use expenses, the stream project cleanups. I'm trying to remember if there's any other ones I want to point out.
recycling?
Trash recycling increase.
Yeah,
When we add all of those things together, the projected deficit that we have is $1,023,320.32. The cents is just from calculating the increases. It might not be that much. So I'm not trying to pinpoint exactly where it'll be. Of that, the board, and as I talked about in November, there was a structural deficit at the time of about $400,000. That structural deficit has grown to $524,000. On top of all of the one-time expenses that we approved, which gets you to about $450,000, $500,000 plus all of your inflation costs, that's how we're getting to that number. So that is a long-winded answer to your question. I can try and break it down more if that doesn't make sense, but does that answer it?
Kind of gives me an idea.
When we have that meeting, I'll show this all, and it's easier to look at and understand than it is for me to reread those things. Yeah, but does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, you're saying without a line of credit in place and other funding, we really don't have the money to do this project at this point.
There are so many alternative scenarios that can be factored into that equation to say yes or no, but my base answer is you're right, no, we don't.
Okay, because that's my sense of what you just said.
Yeah.
Because we have had, besides inflationary costs built into this budget that we didn't anticipate being as high, we've spent at least $140,000 late in the conditional use hearing process, and we're still not done with that.
Yes.
So we're still incurring costs for different things that we didn't even anticipate being as high as they are. And of course, this 1,000-year storm has really caused a lot of problems for a lot of people. That is very expensive.
To be more explicit about it, without the board increasing revenues or decreasing expenditures to a very significant degree in the next budget, you will not make budget by March. And this will only make it worse. Now, that is conditioned on not changing the picture for expenditures or not changing the picture for revenues. But fund balance at this point can't be part of your picture.
We're not carrying anything over.
Exactly.
If there's nothing to carry over, there's nothing to carry over. And we haven't raised taxes in a very long time.
Yeah, and it's not for me to say that, because we will make it work however you want to do it. But clearly we have a problem.
Yeah.
And the problem is bigger than what, frankly, hunters believe, and I'll do whatever you want. The problem is bigger than what you can just cut.
I believe that.
Well, I think that was the practice in years past, and one of the places that were cut that came forward to this point was like the roads.
Yes.
I think it's important that we do spend the money appropriately, especially maintaining the roads and infrastructure that we're responsible for. So.
And I think we're at the point now where we're on a seesaw. Do we fix the roads or do we work on the streams? And I don't know that we're gonna have the money for both. So what is the most impinging on our community? And I think right now the flooding is the most impinging. So we're gonna need to deal with the streams initially.
Well, we have been. I mean, we're putting quite a bit of money
Right.
towards stream issues. West Walnut Tree Bridge is a good example of that. We just allocated a couple $100,000 here for these other streams. So I think we have to look at the bigger picture and know that this is an issue too, but possibly for next year, because we don't have the funding right now to do it.
When do we get the results from this AI program?
AI.
This road,
The
the
road
road
survey.
survey program?
So some of that has been on my shoulders because with these guys being as busy as they were, I was gonna try and go and drive out. I have not made time to do that, so we will definitely get it to you guys as soon as they're done. But it's 30 days from when we turn in our final data, and we haven't started any of it yet.
Because that also would give us a,
Yeah, I mean, Keith and I have worked out what we would hope to do next year. That could dramatically change based on the results, but that work is only liquid fuels money. And I think our estimate was $280,000. Keith, can you remind me of the two developments?
Limestone and Walnut Map.
So we were going to seal coat both of them, which is a step above oil and chip. You don't have chips running everywhere, but it's a seal coat, so it's good for 8 to 10 years. Go ahead. Sorry.
that's fine. I don't think, not to stop you, I don't want to get.
My train is going far down the tracks, so I'm trying to slow down.
But if it's 280,000, that's what we're getting is 280,000?
From liquid fuels.
Right.
Our
That's about
estimate,
300.
But let me subtract out, you didn't subtract out like those road salt and everything else that we take out from that number.
so
So
I think you're fine on liquid fuels doing that. And I'll run through numbers real quick. You've got 65,000 that you have for road salt and anti-skid. Your estimate right now is 293,000 for your regular liquid fuels disbursement. We received that from PennDOT last week. And adding those together, you're at 355,000. We get another 11,000 for the turn back number. It's 11,000 something. It might be a tiny bit more than that, but 11,000 for West Shore Drive. Add that in, you're at 365,000, 367,000, something around. So, depending on how the winter looks, you're good. Now, is that the most comfortable place to be in? No.
No.
None of this is comfortable to be in. I frankly feel it every night when I go to sleep.
This is all spoken for too right now. State Liquid Fuel Fund is at $470,000. That's already spoken for with the check you're cutting to cover each.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I will do it differently if you want to, but I think that that's the wisest thing to do.
Because you're doing that and then pulling the additional 200 to cover that bill, right? That's how I understood that.
Now, maximize recreation fund, part of the proposal for bringing that money back into Tompkins is to potentially be able to use that for some of your operations. So if there's work that we want to buy equipment or park benches or something next year, we can set those costs off with the recreation fund. But, I mean, that's $30,000. It's not gonna change the big picture. It'll make a difference, but it's not gonna change the big picture we're looking at.
And you're robbing Peter to pay Paul.
I'm sorry to drop that bomb on you guys all the time.
Well, no, it's,
Well, it's the realities of just situation,
Yeah.
where our economy is, liquid fuels reimbursements, costs for all these things, and then unexpected costs for other things that have come up. So.
anybody have an extra 75 grand in their pocket? And I think,
Well, like I said, I realize we need to, bare minimum, we have to reset that wall. And, I mean, that should be a day's job, I would think, for Schlap. I don't know, until they mobilize, you got mobilization costs, you know.
And once you mobilize, if we have to do any other, we're gonna mobilize again.
You're in there,
And then the permit costs again on top of that are gonna be an astronomical expense. So what we're saying is 75,000 now. If we do wait, it's gonna be probably 150,000.
for sure. It's, when we have to reapply, it's $10,000 at least for that permit.
Yeah,
I don't know if I would agree it would raise that much, but I take your point. It will be more expensive.
And fuel's gonna go up. I mean, diesel's almost at $5 a gallon. You got excavators out there running 9-10 hours a day. I mean, these guys they're hustling, but they are burning the midnight oil, basically.
Yeah.
just to bring the equipment out, what's our mobilization fee, 12,000?
Well,
6,000?
local, it shouldn't be that kind
No,
of
it's
money.
$2,200, but that's 14 hours.
Wasn't there another charge in there too?
Permit fee, but no, it says 14 hours at $160 an hour. Mobilization and demobilization of equipment,
Okay.
so 2240, but that's to do the whole project.
Yeah.
But I mean, regardless, they're not gonna be bringing all this, they're bringing a cat loader, skid loader, so, you know, they're gonna cover that.
And if they just do it with the head wall, they may not need all this equipment.
Right, they'll definitely need an excavator for sure, because none of our stuff's gonna pick that up. And even that, the 330s, they might need that 935 to pick it up too, I don't know. I got maybe a question on this though. I mean, we have the permit as a place, and if we had Schlau come in there and take care of the resetting of the end wall, is going in there and dredging something you guys can handle with the skid loader? Or taking the actual truck, our loader up there and hogging it out? I mean, that wouldn't be reinforcing the embankments, but that would be dredging it and getting it back to a depth that was flowable, and we can truck that, we have to truck it out.
Yeah, I mean, if Tom thinks that they will extend the permits, yeah, that's something that we can take, that's something we can take on.
We have brush collection starting.
I know, these guys got a lot on their
Yeah,
plate coming up, I get it.
That's why, how long they
I get
extended
it.
permits? 60 days, I mean, it's gonna run into.
We're gonna start getting into the snow season.
Not enough people to do the
Right.
stuff.
Do you, when you ask that, Josh, do you anticipate laying stone down at all with
No,
that?
I'm just saying, go in there,
Dredge it.
have these guys go out, have SD go out, because that's pretty defined in there, but there's probably some areas that could be, well, I don't know, I walked that whole thing, it's pretty good.
Sticking it out,
It's,
not
yeah,
that much.
no, so, just go in there, haul that stuff out, just go in there and dredge it. But we don't, you know, there isn't really, I hate saying it, because everybody as a resident here has rights in the community, you know, and nobody's really flooded out there per se, but there's people, a lot of people had to deal with it, but, you know, let's hope that we don't get another 1,000-year storm anytime soon, but I think going in there and dredging it out at least puts us in the right direction, and we're not neglecting it at all at that point. Like, if we go in there, give Schlock the go-ahead to go, like, they're gonna have to give us another price, I would think, just to reset that head wall. And then have our guys go in there
I'm tracking now.
and go in there and dredge it out.
Yeah.
You know, and even after Schlock goes and resets that head wall, you know, maybe they can figure out to put the stone in there, because we're gonna want some big stone up there.
Yeah, you should get a price for resetting the head wall.
Yeah.
Building
it
back
out.
And armoring that thing.
Yeah.
That,
And
And then
that
the rest-
one-third,
rest, yeah.
We do.
that one-third includes what Keith just described, according to
And
Steve.
you're comfortable with that?
Yeah, if they're taking care of the head wall
Yeah.
and getting it back where it should be.
Just time. That's
Well, this,
And that should be more than just a Band-Aid then, correct?
Yeah.
well, I mean, if
Bigger
we're gonna go
bandage.
and dredge it, I mean, it'll be,
I was gonna say, before he leaves, I wanted to give him the
Oh.
thanks too.
Corey, they wanna, real quick.
Yep.
We're gonna switch some stuff around.
Yeah, I'm gonna derail the meeting real
Real
quick.
quick.
It's not that time yet.
I wanted to give you, yeah, I know, sorry. I wanted to give you thanks. This is Corey Daly. This is the guy that's been helping the township out with setting up the camera system. He helped out with the park. He has a team of guys too, but thanks for doing what you did there. It looks good, and I saw him out here on the building, and I think you're still working on him, so. looks
Yeah,
good.
and one of the things I was wondering, are you guys gonna approve the internet for the parking up here?
Is that on the agenda?
It
is.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'd like to, but should we jump down there?
I wasn't leaving.
Oh, I thought you were, okay, all right, never mind, we'll get there then. I thought you were sneaking out, I wanted to give you that thing, sorry. No, I'm sorry.
So do we have a quote from Schwab for the annual?
Well,
It's
no.
all combined.
Yeah.
So you do have a meeting next week, maybe
Yes.
it's something that's something.
We can
that
bring
might-
that up.
And Schwab will have it real fast, I mean, they'll get it, yeah.
So reform the quote for the head wall and.
Head
look at
wall,
it.
armor.
End wall, I thought.
And what?
It was an
It's
end
an
wall.
end.
End wall, see, I was listening, end wall.
End wall.
End.
I said head, I
You
said
said
head,
head
I
wall.
said
No, I
head
know, you got
wall,
the
end
other
wall.
stuff.
So
It's a wing, it's a wing
we're
wall.
saying to do that at the
Wing,
20th.
wing wall, end
Yes.
wall,
Okay.
same thing.
So I will advertise for a special meeting.
That's fine.
Do you want to do that at 5:30?
Or 6, yeah.
Well, doesn't the
is at
hearing start at
6:30.
6?
Oh, that's at
Is
6:30.
is 5:30 workable for you guys on the 20th? That's a Wednesday?
That's fine.
Let's start at 6.
Eric will have to build us.
The meeting starts at 6:30 for conditional use.
Yeah,
So
I thought
6
they're all- I
o'clock.
thought they're all
is-
6:30.
Oh, my
Six
bad.
is fine.
My bad.
I mean, that's what's on here.
Hey, chief.
There's a question on Zoom.
Okay.
I'll get Eric.
Hi, you guys hear me?
Yep, we got you.
I just heard a few minutes ago, did somebody say that we've already spent $140,000 on conditional use hearings?
Yes.
Yes.
I was just staggered by that number. I tuned in late, so I apologize for that. Like, what is the end goal? Like, what are we trying to accomplish with these hearings when, to my knowledge, it seems like, is there any chance that we're gonna stop a warehouse, or are we just, are we fighting about where it's gonna go and what shrubs are gonna be in what place or whatever it might be? Like, that is an astronomical amount of money, and completely agree with Ms. Fiedler that we, like, Walnut Town Bridge needs work, and 73 needs work, and you guys are trying to pinch pennies. It's like, maybe I'll get lambasted in the community for this too, because some people don't want this warehouse, but are we fighting a losing battle here? And not just losing funding, but it seems like you guys and Hunter and everyone in the township are burning the candle at both ends to take care of the streams and the roads, and now this conditional use. What's the end result, and what's the budget gonna be to get it to the end of the road here with these hearings?
So Eric, let me, this is a solicitor, let me address the conditional use hearings. We're not fighting anything, all right? So we are the judges in that case. Somebody filed an application, and we have to, as the court, as the judges, we need to get through these hearings. And the hearings have been so far to allow the applicant to present their evidence. The township has presented their evidence. Now we're up to the point where the neighbor parties, I don't want to call them protestants, we've never asked whether they're against it or for it. I think we can all assume where they are, but I've never asked the question. So there may be some that are for it, maybe some that are against it. So it's now up to them to present their case. So our obligation under the law is essentially to allow all the parties to present the evidence that they want to present. That's what we're doing. We're simply receiving that evidence. Unfortunately, it has taken, as we were talking before the meeting tonight, it's almost a year into these hearings now. So it's taken that long at 2 meetings a month to get through the evidence to this point. So, and our obligation is to allow those hearings to continue until everybody's done presenting their evidence in an organized manner. So we're not fighting, I just want to kind of correct what you're saying. We're not fighting it, we're hearing it.
Thank you for that clarification, but it's our expense, we have to pay the expense to hear this case all the way through?
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay.
It is, and we are charging them everything we're allowed to charge them. Unfortunately, in a zoning hearing manner, we can't charge them for our legal expenses and engineering expenses and things like that. For their land development application, which is a separate application, they have to pay our legal engineering costs. So, but we're very careful in keeping those expenses separate when it's a conditional use matter or a land development matter. It's just the unfortunate writing of those statutes that dump all those costs onto the township.
Fair point. And I don't mean to come across as ungrateful. It's the opposite. I'm very grateful for everybody's work, but you know, it's frustrating that you guys are pinching pennies and doing what you can to take care of much needed projects, and we're spending as taxpayers over six figures to, you know, fight something that we all know is probably going to happen. So I just wanted to comment that and say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I guess
And
back
just,
to.
I want to make that clarification, because I think that is a lot of the public perception
Yeah.
that we're fighting it, and it's not. We're listening to it, we've got to be fair and independent, impartial as we hear those decisions, or hear the evidence, and make the decision.
Can I back up real quick to the end wall discussion?
That's our
Regarding the meeting on the 20th, does the board feel that there will be debate if the end wall is a third of that price and then our guy's going to do it? Because if there is, I'd rather set it at 5:30, because this is a pretty big issue and you don't know what public comment's gonna look like.
I'm gonna negate that a little bit. I don't think it's gonna be that big of an issue. I really think that,
I'm just trying to look out for you.
No,
so
I
I'm
got
gonna-
it.
Well, I'll just split the baby in half and make it 5:45.
Yeah, I think 6 o'clock is
I think
enough
6 is
time.
fine. I mean, they're gonna go in there, we have to put the end wall back in, and we don't have the capability of doing that. So we have to get somebody outside to do that. Schlock is here, they're doing the work, get over there, fix it, be done with it, move on. As far as the rest of it goes, putting the guys to work out there, I think that's fine too. So, you know, not that I showed my hand with Schlock there, but hey Schlock, we'll see a good quote and we'll get moving on it, right? So, I don't see it being a terrible, it's not gonna be $65,000, I can tell you that, so. Anyway, I don't think it's gonna be that big of a deal, really. It's reinforcing, fixing what's there now and dredging it out. It's gonna be better than it was.
So before we do any of that, we're gonna have to extend the permit, because what I understand is, Keith, you're not gonna be able to get to it within the 60 days of this permit.
By October 14th.
We can't extend that right now.
I don't want to extend it until closer to the date of the deadline.
I don't see us having an issue getting an extension on it.
I don't either.
So,
Okay.
I did them all before.
I know, but this is a pretty hot topic.
And this will happen for October 14th. This will happen without the extension,
No.
the end wall.
Maybe, I don't know. I don't know how, when Schlock plan on being done with Cornerstone and all that.
Friday.
No, that's a disaster.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a disaster.
That's what I didn't know, okay.
You're probably looking at another week, at least a week and a half
Yeah,
there.
both more than that probably. Yeah, you probably saw 2 weeks in that
I
job.
mean, they're not halfway.
They're a third of the way.
They've only promised completion by October 14th.
Correct, so this might have to go into that extension anyway.
All right.
So. But anyway, like I said, I think get a price on it, we'll make a decision next meeting. and be done with it.
But I think to be clear, I think if we do vote for it, we want to make sure we link it to, we're not obligated to pay them if it doesn't happen before October, and we don't get the
Well, it
extension.
has to happen under the permit.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I just make sure we tie the two. I don't want to have to pay them a third of that and
Right.
not get the work done.
Right,
because
right,
we've
right.
So
contracted them, so.
you need me to verbalize that to the contractor when they're requoting?
Yes.
That it needs to be done by the 14th of October, or else the work will not move forward or something along those lines.
That's,
Or there's a
Unless
time
we get the
extension.
extension, yeah.
but I honestly don't see that maybe being a problem, because they have 2 separate crews right now, and if they're wrapped up there, they were gonna move them over, and they might be able to fix, they might be able to fit it in. They'll make it work.
Well, let me ask you this, if they do the head wall, your timeline isn't gonna have to, be incumbent upon theirs.
No, they're
So-
2 separate, yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah, so then we can go with the,
Yeah, agreed.
I don't see them having, I really don't see them having an issue getting it done by October.
okay.
Perfect.
So I think that's fine. So have them submit a quote to reset the
End wall.
end wall, end wall,
What did you go with?
end wall,
End wall.
End wall.
wing wall,
Yeah.
wing wall.
The end of the story.
All right, so
There we
moving
go.
on to the
Yep.
next,
We're good.
Yeah,
next page.
Okay, what's the next agenda?
so they, strategic plan.
So, I let you know that there's an issue with the 27th of October, or September. So, want to try and find another date for you guys to meet. So I think, Heidi, you said
The first week in October is really
Okay. I have a conflict on the 3rd for class.
We're trying to do it at night.
Yeah, well,
No, just
we
on the
could
4th.
do a 5 o'clock if
It
you
doesn't
wanted.
have to be at night for me.
Yeah. Would there be any weekday meetings that would work for you on that last week of September, Heidi? If we did something more closer to like 4:30, 5 o'clock?
The 26th is good.
Oh, I have class.
Ah. Or earlier, I guess, like you're talking like 4:30, maybe 4:30 on the 25th.
I can do that.
I could do that.
This is all contingent.
Yeah, I messed up, because this, you're right, this is contingent on the authority
The
being
authority has to be
available.
available.
Because we were planning to, well, what we can do is have our meeting at 4:30, 5 o'clock.
Can we Zoom it?
On the 27th.
Or doesn't?
Can we Zoom?
No, but I
Yeah.
meant like, you're not available.
Well, I didn't say that at all, but not the 27th at, what was it, 7 o'clock or something?
I think 6 o'clock to start the joint meeting with the authority,
Yeah.
and then 7 for our meeting.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. And to your question, Josh, we need to have at least a quorum of the board be in person. And a member can join via Zoom.
That's what I was asking. That's what I
But
meant.
a quorum needs to be present.
Sure, but I don't, okay.
Well, I guess the question that would be good to answer is, do you want to have this strategic planning meeting joined up with the authority? Because if that's not important, we can find another date for a joint meeting with the authority.
I'd rather just roll it into a meeting.
But this was the one that we were going to be able to move forward for their ability to
Yes.
access their funding through PFM,
Yes.
which they're gonna run into timelines with, because they're gonna need that by the end of the year.
Yes, yeah.
Are you available for the 6 o'clock portion, of that, like via Teams?
On the 27th?
Zoom, yeah.
No.
Because this is gonna turn into a thing if we do this. We should have that, TA should be there.
So are you available for that?
I am, yes.
So if we, the two of us were here, if we could still have that meeting to go ahead and authorize, would you have a problem with that?
To authorize what?
MTA.
MTA,
Water authority stuff.
what the water authority does.
Yeah, but I'd like to get more information on it. I mean, that's the whole purpose of having the meeting.
No, that's what we did when the guy was here, when he explained to us what he was gonna do.
I'm sure Jamie would re-summarize, but I don't know if he'd introduce anything new. I mean, he'd give you what the actual bond
Right.
issuance looks like, but it's not gonna be a lot different than what they handed out at the last meeting.
Right.
Which I can get you another copy of as well.
And regardless, I think it should still be recorded anyway. If we were all here or not, so we should still have it documented somewhere.
Recorded, oh, you mean like?
It would be anyway.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Okay.
saying, it should be recorded anyway.
It would,
but-
it would be an open
Yeah,
meeting,
right, exactly.
So what all, were they gonna talk about for this joint meeting
So,
specifically?
the joint meeting is ideal because you're knocking out all of the resolutions and ordinance adoptions at the same meeting. So, what would happen is the board would vote to authorize advertisement of an ordinance for the bond financing, adopt a resolution for the bond financing. The authority board would do the same. They would vote to authorize the adoption of a resolution issuing bonds. So then what would happen is in the advertisement period, the board, I think, then again adopts the ordinance at their next meeting, which would be October what it says it right here, the 12th, October 12th. In addition, that's the point where PFM begins to start incurring fees on behalf of the authority. And they need to also have bond counsel identified and approved by the authority, which is a specialized attorney that will just work on bonds on behalf of the authority. We're not involved in those bills at all. But they would also be doing some of the documentation that includes the township. So the legwork will start more substantively, and that's when they would also work to schedule the not the earnings call, the credit analysis call between myself, Pat, Jamie, and the bond counsel. So the ideal part of having the joint meeting is that everybody's in the same room. There's one meeting where everybody knows what's going on. It doesn't need to happen that way, but our understanding this whole time has been that that's the best way to do it, and we're just playing second fiddle to what they're trying to get done.
And they've got to do it within a 60-day time frame.
So what's their deadline?
I don't know. I know when Jamie was here and when him and I spoke recently, they needed to get everything done by late September, early October, so that all the approvals would be finalized at October meetings. And then they have November to actually put bonds on the street and get it done before the new year, because then they lose out this year's tax benefited issuance. Like we were talking about earlier with the TRAN, the interest rates on municipal bonds at their rate and the earnings that they make on interest from a bank are all protected for the size of $5 million issuance that they're looking at doing. So that resets in January. So they're trying to get it all done before the year ends.
I understand that.
And then the other thing that would happen is if they weren't able to get it done by January, then that takes us out of any ability to, if we were in need and would need to go through that process, we wouldn't be able to do it next year.
Yeah.
I mean, if we were to issue a bond for the township.
Yeah. I'm not saying we would, but it would disallow that.
Well, I thought we pretty much ruled that out because of the cost. There's a huge cost of issuing bonds.
So I think that, yeah, I can't speak for, I mean, when we brought the issue up, it looked ugly from the beginning, and I think the bond market has changed slightly. I think what Jamie showed us when I provided that to the board previously was not this tax benefited one. So it was a little bit different because the amounts were different, and he wasn't looking at the small issuance exemption that is available to municipal governments. And that was what I mean, it was much more professionally done than this, but it was a back of a napkin calculation he did for me as a favor. Yeah.
But I think my understanding of what you said at the time was that the cost was going to be pretty high. I mean, when it comes to municipalities, it's going to be a tax-free interest rate for anybody who buys those bonds, typically.
Not necessarily.
And why is that?
Because of the size of it. There are certain sizes of bonds that municipalities take out that are not, they're not taxable like you're talking about, but the interest rates are not subsidized by taxes. And they're not discounted by the feds. And when I say the Fed, I should say the Fed, like the Federal Reserve.
Right.
I mean, that's all his forte. If it would work to give you a little bit more peace, we can schedule a phone call between you, myself, and Jamie, where you can ask some of these questions if that would help you.
I'm curious in knowing more about that because
Okay.
you're bringing up more issues that could have a big impact.
Yes, yeah.
Well, you can do that before the 27th, so that maybe.
Well, that's independent of all of this.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about on the township side, not the authority side, because they've already decided what they want to do.
Oh, well.
But they need us to be able to.
No, I understand that.
To do what they do.
If you're talking about the township issuance, I will do whatever the board would like. My only comment would be is I think that that's a conversation for the board to receive together from Jamie first.
You mean to take a bond or something?
Yeah, if you guys wanted to go down that route, I think
We're not
Jamie
even-
should be talking to all three of you, not just one of you, and I don't mean to single you out with that, Heidi, I worry about the perception of that, having one member talk to him to get information like that. I don't know if that's making sense, but does that?
Well, I understand where you're
saying?
coming from. I'm
Okay.
looking just for general information, because you raised some
Okay,
issues
okay.
that I've not been familiar with.
Okay.
You know, so that's, you know,
Yeah,
like the interest rates, what's tax-free, how that impacts, you know, the size, and, you know,
Yeah.
that's just general information, nothing specific to
okay,
us.
all right, yeah, yeah,
Which I think, since he's familiar with that, he does this type of thing, something that he can lay out really easily and go down the list of
Yeah.
major, you know, items that are involved in issuing permits.
Would you be comfortable if that offering was made also to the authority board members who have questions
I
like
don't
you?
care who wants to sit in on it. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody, you know, if you guys wanna hear more about it too, I'm just interested in hearing more about it.
Okay.
And what's available and how all these different things, impact the costs and the
Yeah.
rates and all that.
Yeah, we can definitely work that out.
I think it's good information to have.
But I think we also, at this point, might want to keep the 27th available as a,
I don't really, I mean, October is, I am booked solid. Truly, the 27th is like, that's what I was looking at when we were talking here.
I mean, what I'm looking at is,
But
they're
I
in
have
a
the-
time crunch too.
I literally have the 27th and 28th of September. And honestly, let me check one more thing, because
Sounds like they need to be done by the first week of October anyway.
Yeah, so after that
Maybe
is.
next week anyway, not all of October.
Yeah,
And we do need to schedule a separate budget meeting to just look at 2024's budget. I
Right.
mean, I guess if you guys want to do it all in one night, we can try.
I think that should be 2 nights.
Yeah.
Because the budget meeting is very detailed, and that's gonna,
Yeah,
that really should be separate. And we've handled it separately before too. Just, you know, separate budget meetings to discuss
yeah.
what's, you know, the items for the upcoming year.
Well, because the 5-year projection is more abstract and the budget would be more tactical, if that makes sense. So it would have more detail, and I haven't put together the budget packet for 2024, because I was expecting that we would do this by the end of September, so I had October to work on it.
Okay, so
Yeah.
would you be projecting to have a budget workshop sometime in early November
We can do early in November.
or late October? I don't know, depending how all this works out, but
I will do what date you guys want. If you want to give me a little bit of room, November would probably be best.
let's clear this one first.
Okay. Sorry.
Are we okay with the 27th? I can make the 27th.
I can make the 27th. You're unavailable.
no,
Not even by phone.
right. Now, was the authority agreeing to the 27th?
Yes.
Okay, well then go ahead, go with it.
Okay. Okay. Are we doing, we're only doing the authority meeting, or we're doing the finance meeting too? Help me understand that part.
You talking
Okay.
about finance, what do you mean?
The 5-year projection after the authority meeting.
No, I want to
No.
sit on, that's a
Okay.
really important thing.
So-
It's separate.
When do you want to schedule that one?
Can we push that one to the next meeting, so I can clear, I gotta look at my schedule, I gotta see what I can do. I was hopeful to knock it all out that night, I'm sorry, I gotta.
I understand. So I will work with Pat to put the ad out for the 27th for the MTA meeting. And then we'll have it in this room at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
And then you got this for the 20th as well, for 6 o'clock.
Yes, I do have that one as well.
So make sure.
Yeah, September 27th.
Yeah,
Yeah, that I,
grab one.
Exactly.
All right.
upgrades for parks and facilities, I think this is the one that, Corey, you were asking questions about.
Yeah.
Are we gonna do the remote connection for both the park and the building here? Can you kind of explain the benefit of that, and then also do the systems need to be separate?
Well, yeah. So the park, I think, is really important for you, more than anything. Only because you can grant the police access to it if there's problems. You can also reveal it, like when the flood, you would have been able to see what was going on up there remotely, you know. I use T-Mobile internet at home, and Keith and I took my thing up to the park and up to the recycling center here and tested it at both. And I think it would work really well for it. It's $50 a month, you know, for each location. But, you know, I think mainly you should have it at both, but mainly the park is probably the most important one.
So is this a hot spot that?
T-Mobile has
It's
at-home internet. It's just
Yeah, it's
standalone.
wireless internet.
Okay.
It's like you would use,
Like just like a cube or something
You
like that?
tested it?
yeah, it's like a little tower.
Okay.
You tested it at the park in the block and you didn't have any interference with the block?
I'm sorry, what's
You
that?
didn't have any interference with the block wall inside?
Nah,
No.
nah, it worked,
Yeah.
it worked well.
I've heard really good things about the T-Mobile.
Yeah, I can tell you, I use that at my house,
Yeah.
and we have 22 devices and stream TV and everything on it,
Yeah.
you know.
Let me ask you something, Corey.
Sure.
With this up here,
Yep.
is it possible to hook that up with our internet here somehow?
This building here, you can, yes. We can put it on the network here, because the recorder's gonna be in this building.
Okay,
However, up at the recycling, you don't have no connection up there. And it would cost you a lot more to get a connection up there, you know, because it would have to be trenched in and everything.
Well, I got a question.
That's why I'm suggesting you go with the wireless.
I just thought of this though, so when that house got taken down, is there not lines going into that box? Because the meter base is still up there and there's some stuff going into that box. Can we pick off of that?
That's all electric.
There's no phone lines or nothing going into that, no cable run?
We put that
Yeah.
box out, that's ours.
Did that house ever have cable run to it?
It might have from the telephone poles, but
Maybe, I'm sure it did, but.
Well, I just thought of that while we're talking about it, if that still has the lines on
I
it.
mean. We put up and to run the electric there.
But you're right, I mean, Service Electric's gonna charge us more money than T-Mobile is, because I have Service Electric right now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why we tested the T-Mobile and stuff, because honestly, that's the cheapest out there. You know, but I think it would be a big advantage, like I said, especially at the park.
I think that's what we intended to do in the beginning.
We did, yeah. And
So,
Leesport has this piped right over to Northern Berks too, so,
Yep.
and their crime has gone significantly down at their park.
there are guys in the patrol car, you
Yeah.
take a look at it, they see something going.
That's really nice.
They zip over and,
Yeah, and we're actually gonna be adding more cameras over at Leesport.
Yeah.
And I suggested the same thing to them, I was putting the T-Mobile in over there, because they're using Comcast right now, and getting charged out the ass. Yeah.
I think my only reservation would be just checking with FirstNet to see if they have a comparable product.
They won't.
FirstNet? Well,
I don't think they will.
why?
This is a complete standalone, this is like literally having a hotspot set there and.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
FirstNet has really low rates.
yes.
For
I think we
municipalities.
should just check.
I
and
think you
see.
should, no, I
That's
agree
fine,
that you
compare it,
should.
that's fine, check it, yeah. How soon do you, well, you could come in and hook it up at any point, I guess.
Yeah, I was gonna do it, why I was here,
I know.
to
Yeah.
reduce what I have to charge you guys.
Well, can we make an approval to choose whichever one
has a cheaper rate.
not to exceed?
And you gotta keep in mind though, it's not just a cheaper rate, it's what,
Yeah.
you're gonna be streaming video cameras that are high resolution. So if it's not a good service and you're saving $10 a month, it's not gonna do nothing for you. That's why we tested the T-Mobile, we know T-Mobile will work. It's not worth the $10 a month if the service is not gonna be as good.
All right, understood.
And is that gonna be anything with compatibility to the police department's,
No.
equipment? So that
No,
won't matter
because
at all?
we would just have to give the police access to it,
Okay,
you know? It would be all networked, you know, basically back to here. And the police would be able to access, you know, the recorder and like they do with Leesport right now. They can access the one recorder at Leesport.
Yeah.
And it's a big advantage, you know, knowing, you know, Sergeant Wood can go into it whenever he wants, you know, and stuff. And if something happens, they have immediate access to it.
Yep.
You know, it's not
Absolutely.
waiting to the next day when Keith can go up and let him in or something.
Well, not that, and then we're waiting on Keith to sit there and look through hours of footage, when if it happens right away, they know, hey, I can go and look at it, boom, right away, and,
Yeah.
you know, meanwhile, he's gotta sit there and watch 6 hours of footage till he finds it.
yeah.
And the thing with T-Mobile too is there is no contract.
Right, you can't.
So it's a month-to-month thing. They don't make you sign a contract. You know,
So, if we went to T-Mobile right now and got that, and we found out that something else was comparable, we could always switch.
Swap it out.
Right.
Yeah, There's no harm, no foul, there's no cancellations on it, anything like that.
There's no charge for the tower.
No, that's what's, they're gonna probably change that too, so
Yeah,
it's,
I'll
Yeah, what is
hear-
the monthly cost, do we know?
$50.
$50 a
Piece
month.
for
each.
Each, okay.
I'll hear back from Ashley by tomorrow morning what it is for FirstNet, if they have a comparable device, so we can just go based on that, not to exceed $50.
per device.
Yeah, but it still has to be tested. make
We
sure
would
it's gonna
still
work.
have to test it on the video.
No, that's fine. I mean, FirstNet's product is gonna be comparable.
We would hope, but if it's not,
Well, they've been comparable for everything else.
I guess let me back this up.
by price,
No, by service,
okay.
yeah.
Is
Which
FirstNet the one for emergency services?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so wasn't there a problem like on the other side of the lake?
No, that was the reservation with switching, but that is not a problem.
Okay,
Have you ever tested FirstNet inside the brick building? No.
Well, we use them as our vendor for all of our other bills, and I know that Ashley will be able to provide any type of examples. So we'll go based on that, unless the board would like to do otherwise.
I can tell you from experience, I've done this for years with all the stores when I was at Redner's. You can't go on examples. Every building, every place is different. That's why we went and
They
tested
have to
it,
physically come out
to
and
be
test.
sure before we even mentioned T-Mobile, to be sure that it was gonna work. It is not the same everywhere. When I was at Redner's, we finished a store down in Delaware that they had to pay to put devices in because the radios did not work inside the store. But if you stood outside the store, they worked great. You know, so you can't go off just, oh yeah, it's gonna work there. You know, it's how well is it gonna work?
Well, I think that's what I just said, is that we will get products to demo if we need to, and they've worked with us in the past, and on top of that, we saved almost 90% off of our phone bills.
Yeah, but we're not gonna get a hotspot tower for $10.
Well, let's see what they say first.
I'll guarantee it.
I mean,
I'm looking right now.
I
It's
think
a
I think
federal
you should check
government
it.
contract explicitly for these types of devices, so let's just see if they have
I
something.
think that's a wise thing.
so is there a timeline that you wanna do this by, Corey?
I was trying to save you guys the money, because if we push
Come
this
back.
off, then I gotta come back and I gotta charge you more. Me and he talked about it, the best would be to do it all while I'm here.
So if they decide by the 20th, are you still here?
I'm sorry.
If they decide next week, are you?
Yeah, I'll still be here.
We'll decide
Or on
tomorrow.
20?
We'll decide tomorrow.
But they're not gonna be out there.
But are you gonna have the
She'll ship it
device
over.
for us to take it up there and
She'll
test
ship
it?
it overnight and get it to us by Monday.
As long as they can ship it to us and test it.
Okay. All right, new business.
Okay. Appointment of PSAT's trustees. I guess this is just a formality.
Good.
So what we're looking to do is vote for Jack Hines and Marvin Mateer to be appointed to the PSAT's Unemployment Compensation Group Trust.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in agreement?
Aye.
Now, you have this listed twice here. So the second was a pension trust.
Pension,
Yes.
yeah.
So it's gonna be Jack Hines again and Marvin Matier
Yep.
to be appointed to the PSAS Municipal Pension Trust.
So moved.
Second.
On agreement?
Aye.
Approval of minimal municipal obligation for the 2024 pension contributions.
Our obligation is a negative number because our pension is so well funded, but in keeping with the board's past practice of funding these regularly, I prepared a resolution for $10,000 in the year 2024. This year we did 12,000. I'm just trying to make it an even number. I mean, 12,000 is an even number, but flat number.
Of 10,000. I move that we approve resolution number 30-2023, setting a minimum municipal obligation for the budget year of 2024 in the amount of $10,000.
That's
I think you should have the worksheet behind that as well. that
Yeah, there's
shows-
3 pages.
Is that another change there, 10.89?
It did, it increased from 9.7 something, 9.7 something.
That increased, but I'm not complaining, our contribution went down. No, you said it went from 12 to 10.
Oh, that was a change that I just made.
Oh.
From 12, because we were at a negative number last year
Yes.
as well. And we contributed to the 12,000, which is the same amount that you guys contributed in 2021.
Right.
I just moved it down to 10,000.
I'll second it.
All in agreement?
Aye.
Okay, PennDOT regarding West Shore Drive Bridge, we already did that.
Yep.
Set trick or treat hours for Halloween, for 5 PM till 9 PM on Halloween.
Which day?
It's gonna be the
The 31st
31st.
is
Is
a
it the
Tuesday.
31st?
Yep.
Sometimes, it gets moved.
Yeah, it's a Tuesday this year, and the 30th would be a Monday, so you might as well
Yeah.
just do the 31st.
So moved.
Second
On agreement?
it. Aye.
Aye. Motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second it.
All in agreement?
Aye.
Aye.